This is going to be a short episode, and I know that sucks because everyone wants to hear what we think about Tuesday's episode. We will tell you.
But we'll go through Mondays. What we'll do Mondays, yeah?
Yeah.
And then we'll do Tuesday. So let's get on with it.
I haven't even got a proper storyline. We're going
to do booby-dooby-doo, or just go straight into it?
What do you mean do-booby? Oh.
Are you not going to have a cut?
No, we don't need music.
Then.
Let's get on with it.
Monday, are you going to do this?
Well, you can both do this.
This is professional.
This is... I just had no time to prepare for the podcast today. I'm very sorry, everybody.
You do Mondays.
Okay, well...
The Institute.
Well, yeah, the Institute story on Monday. Basically, after last week's things, Leanne and Nick are back on speaking terms again, and she's like, I promise I'm not going to disappear off to the Institute again, it's all going to be fine. And Nick, like the rest of us, are very sceptical about Leanne's decision here. So Toya gets up later and she's surprised to see that Leanne's there and not at work, but Leanne's phone rings and it's Rowan.
Hello?
Like, do you want to come down the Institute? Says Rowan. Leanne's like, no, I can't. I really, really can't. I need to stay at home today with my sister. So I was like, no, it's fine. You go. And Leanne tells Rowan, I'll call you back. Apparently, this is a taster session for newbies, and she has to go. There's compulsory attendance for level 6s.
I didn't know this was involved in being level 6, or I just said, don't worry about it.
That's probably why they fast-tracked her to level 6, isn't it? It's like, we need somebody to look after the new...
recruits.
The new recruits,
Comrades.
Yes. The new brainwash volunteers, and we haven't got enough people, so Leanne, get yourself over here, love. I can't say no. So Toya says, look, I'll come with you. And this was great. I'm loving Toya taking down the Institute for the inside, because basically the rest of this episode is just her pretending to like it, isn't it? Were you fooled by Toya's seeming conversion to the Institute side? I was almost there.
I could hear the Pink Panther music in the background.
Right, as she was sleuthing around. Well, they get there and Amy's there, and I'm very much glad that Amy has been properly put into this story now. She's like, oh, stop it.
I was trying to be subtle. Go on.
So Amy says, I've been reading some stuff about the Institute and I'm dead impressed by it.
There's no bad comments.
I've come to listen to this seminar, and Leanne's like, oh yes, isn't Willow amazing? Oh yeah, Willow, love her. Toya's like, okay, let's go into the seminar and have a look at what they've got to say then. Meanwhile, you got Nick and Sam in the flat, and they find this note from Leanne saying that they're going out to the Institute, and they're like, Toya's gone as well. What is going on there?
How strange.
What was it? Was it that scene that Sam wanted to have some Persian food for dinner? Because
he did.
I've always wanted to try food from a country that doesn't exist anymore.
All right.
Today feels like the day for me, says Sam. I've been building up to this moment. I wonder if he got it in the end. Do you like a bit of Persian food?
I'm pretty sure that one of my friends from school, which when we were very young, so my memories are hazy, I'm sure she said she was Persian. Oh, and she was very proud of her country, but...
I just need to go and find her and tell her that your country doesn't exist anymore, apparently.
That's what happened. They all got kicked out. He's making light of it, but actually it's very sad.
And now he's making us make light of it. It's your fault, you little brat. Anyway, the seminar's over later, and it's made a whole lot of sense to Amy. Like, they've really chosen two of the characters who, you would think might be the shrewdest of them all to get sucked into the Institute, wouldn't you? Like, if Kirk was on the verge of being, he'd be like, he didn't even need to see a seminar, he just wants the club to be in.
I think he'd be too dumb to get what they meant.
Yeah. Upload, what's that? It's like, yeah, maybe you're right.
If you told him to upload, he'd lick his finger and stick it in a socket.
What would Kirk be on a new level of consciousness?
Yeah.
Maybe just conscious for him.
It would be like in Red Dwarf when Holly plugs herself in, remember, and she goes, she's like, I know all the secrets of the universe.
And she has her IQ of 12,000.
And she keeps telling herself off.
Yeah. Anyway, so Amy's found it fantastic, and even Toya is saying, you know what, I can see why you find this helpful. It could work if you suffered trauma, etc.
Well, she says they're dressing up actual techniques that really do work.
Yeah, and Leanne is dead chuffed to hear that Toya's speaking positively.
But
I
believe that is true as well. I've said that before about this.
Well, yeah, you've said that you don't think Rowan's doing anything wrong necessarily.
At the moment, not that we've seen.
He's definitely he's taking advantage of people, isn't he? He's clearly taking advantage of people.
Yeah, but how do you define... I'm not getting into the conversation.
Do you think that it's okay to get somebody blindfolded into the middle of a circle of extras and have them hurl abuse at them?
Well, explain what I was doing last weekend then.
What are you doing?
That's so wrong.
What were you doing last week? Are you level 6?
I'm level 7, baby.
What?
You don't want to know what I did to get there.
You don't want to know. Anyway, Leanne's, she's chuffed. They all go back home and Toya's saying, oh, Nick, it's great, keep an open mind about these things. But when she's left alone with Nick, she says, I'm just pretending, innit? I'm acting. I'm trying to get more info. So, Andy, that's all we've had of this story this week. That
was pleasant enough.
That was. I loved that. We get to see more. I think it was more Chariot Square stuff, and I hope that her interloping continues next week. Now we've had a little break for the Royal London drama. She has got a little hobby to do. I think she's probably going to get herself into a little bit of danger. I really hope that it is her that takes him down. That would be quite magnificent.
Good for her.
But
right.
Anyway, there's nothing else particularly to say about that. So that happened. We had some Maria stuff, didn't we?
Yeah, so Maria is distracted on Monday in the salon because she tells David she's got a letter to say that Mason is being let out of prison. And she's like, what can I do about it? Well, I need to make sure that he stays away from Liam, but I don't know what else I can do. This
is funny that Mason's coming out because the last we heard of him, he had to return in a week's time for his sentencing. And I don't think we ever heard what his sentence was.
I think it's quite convenient for Coronation Street. They're like, oh, he's been in prison for an amount of time.
Yeah, I kind of thought, I don't know why. I suppose in usual terms, when Coronation Street sends someone off to prison, they're there for a year or so, aren't they? And so I thought that maybe that was the last we'd seen of Mason, but I guess there's nothing now stopping him from coming back and being a regular character again. Or is he... he's not going to have... he's not going to have turned over a new leaf, is he?
I hope not.
He's going to come back and just go straight to intimidating Liam again.
Yeah, maybe, it'd be boring.
Maybe we might get a few scenes of, should we trust him or not? But yeah, I'm thinking that he's going to come back and just be horrible again. So I'm looking forward to the story stepping up again because it's been a popular one this year. So
Maria then sees Sarah at the police station later, who is there for an update on Nathan. And Maria tells her what's happening with Mason and says, I'm trying to find out what restrictions they're putting on Mason's movements.
Yes.
Which I think you can only poo on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And if you're doing it any more than that, then we're going to have to investigate your bowels.
Well, she says she's here to investigate Nathan, isn't
that,
she?
Yeah.
But actually she's just there with Gary.
What a dirty Bertie.
Gary's doing a bit of a sneak.
Yeah,
because it was at that time, what was it he given, I forgot, it was so long ago.
He
gave the police.
No.
Sarah.
Listen, he gave Sarah 10 grand from the sale of the factory, which we're about to find out.
To make Nathan go away. And he's confessing this to Swain or whoever.
Well, because Swain gave Sarah a hard time last week, was it? Saying, you've got to account for this.
Yes.
Because
that is right.
Why is this money? What's happened? Explain yourself. So she's like, Gary, you got to tell them what happened. So Sarah's trying to get Maria away from this so she won't find out that Gary's there. But Gary just bumbles out, hello. And Maria's like, what is going on here? What have you done this time? And because obviously it looks dodgy, like he's done something wrong. What's going on between you two? You're either a criminal or you're having an affair, or you're both. So Gary says, no, it's worse than that. I've taken £10,000 of our money and given it to her. And Sarah's like, I'll pay you back. It's like, go on then, what's your repayment schemes? You haven't got one, have you? Interest rate, what's that? Come on.
He should know all about that from his
Loan Shark days. I'm surprised he's not got her fingers in a bloody vice or something. Right, so
Sarah's already got a wonky finger. Maybe she has.
Maria's not impressed in the slightest with this. She clops off in a strop. She moans on at David about it in the salon. And he's like, I'm not interested in this at all, because he already knows this, because he's Sarah's brother. He's worked it out from her being weird. So Gary shows up and David's like scarpering off, but not before dropping him in it about the fact that Gary had beaten up Nathan. And Maria's like, right, come on, explain yourself. And this is when he also explains that admits that Bethany knows. And Maria's like, are you in love with Sarah? She locks the salon door so he can tell her everything. And he says, no, there's nothing more going on than that. It's literally that's that dumb and simple. I gave her 10 grand. She's fuming and he's trying to defend himself, saying, look, what happened to Bethany before is awful. What those men did to her, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, look, it's nothing to do with you now. Why are you still getting involved in all these gangs and stuff? And he's like, I'm not, baby. I swear, promise. It's in the past. I love you. So Maria goes to see Sarah in the flat and she says, right, Gary's told me everything. And also, when you're a soap character, you know, you leave a beat for the other person to say, it was one time, like that or something.
Yeah.
But
there was none of that.
Luckily, Sarah didn't fall for it. Well, there's nothing else to say, was there? She said, look, I want to know where your head is at here. What are you thinking about Gary? You got designs on my man. And Sarah's no, and I just needed Gary because I didn't want Nathan destroying Bethany's life again. I don't have any feelings for him. He's just a dumb idiot that gave me £10,000, literally. That's it, innit? I wish I knew some bloke who'd just give me 10 grand for... I've got to have a daughter first, so...
Yeah.
They're quite expensive.
You know, plenty of dumb idiots. You're married to one for one thing.
You don't have 10 grand, I know.
Don't have 10 grand
for a
that I
fact.
can give you, no.
Maria-
Don't have any secret factories I own to get the money from either. So anyway, that's that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think that... I don't know whether I care very much about what's going on with these three. Do
No,
you
I'm
think
not
that it is
bothered.
leading to a Sarah and Gary affair? Because I'm not super excited about that, if that's the case, because we've already been down that well before, haven't we? They were together for a while. I know loads of people are big Gary and Sarah shippers. I'd rather go... I'm on Team Fidelity. And Gary doesn't...
Well, you're on Team Fidelity, and I'm on Team Cork Your Pork, because I've made this my catchphrase now for soap characters that have affairs.
Cork your pork.
Cork your pork. Let's not have any surprise babies or weird.
Well, we've already had a surprise baby in the other story this week, haven't we? In the
really?
Lawrence story.
Oh yeah, that was another one.
Yeah. So I think it doesn't enthuse me, the idea of this, but I'm glad that Gary is an honest guy, isn't he? Generally. He keeps secrets when it's strictly necessary, but I say fair play to him for coming out and telling Maria.
He
Did he
only
tell her
admitted it
everything?
because he knew that it would come out.
Yeah. Does she know about the kiss? I think maybe. I can't remember.
She saw it, didn't she?
Oh yeah, she saw it on the video, didn't she? And talking about
Let's move on.
So anyway, so that's it. I don't think Gary is going to stay away from Sarah, but I'm more looking forward to Mason coming back. When was it? A couple of weeks' time, and seeing what happens around there. But no speculation particularly.
No one knows.
So the kit stuff this week was more of just Craig simpering after him in the cafe.
I just want to say, was it Chris Freetrell who on Monday started the episode with 2 really great lines of dialogue that, when written down, don't really say much, but the performances were great too, because Craig comes up to Kit and says, "You're right," and he says, "I am, yeah." Which is just a complete and utter betrayal of the social contract in this country, where "you're right" is always met with "yeah, I'm alright, you're right," or something like that. "Yeah, I'm alright." You have to reciprocate the "you alright." You don't just say "yeah, I am," because that's like saying "screw you, bugger off."
Which is what he was saying to Craig.
I thought that was absolutely perfect. What a really brief way of like encapsulating the entire relationship between those 2 characters, where Craig is just a simpering like toady, and Kit just actually doesn't care about social convention.
But if he wants to be left alone by Craig, especially while he's grieving, I wouldn't say that going into his local on the day, literally straight after the funeral.
In a cafe.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm talking about last week.
Oh.
He had the funeral, and then like, right, shall I go with the rest of the Green family to the? No, I'll just go to the Rovers where Craig and his horny mother are.
I know.
And then he got annoyed that they were there.
Yeah.
But
I think there's more to Kit's family.
You reckon?
Yeah. I think something happened. I don't think he's that close.
Okay.
Anyway, he's not interested in talking to Craig. Am I doing this?
No, I'm doing this story. He says, look, bugger off, I'm on compassionate leave. So in the pub later, Craig says to Beth and Kirk, look, I made a bit of a prat of myself in front of Kitta. Do you think he always goes and confesses every time he makes a prat of himself?
No way. He wouldn't
Because
know.
it's
He'd
like
be like...
He's probably got a night diary that he writes it down
Tell
in
you
a little
what,
prat book.
He's probably got kicked out of the Catholic Church for going to confession too often. They're like, you're wearing out the floorboards. You can't keep coming in here every time you make a prat of yourself. It's not for that.
You arrested the wrong person again, Craig.
Craig, no, it's not about social faux pas. Get out.
Anyway,
It's about original sin.
Craig is shrewd enough to notice that Kit's, feel it a little bit dodgy maybe. He's like, oh, I don't think Kit's the sort of bloke that you want to upset. I mean, the poor guy was grieving his mum, but Craig has somehow been able to piece something together to feel like he's not a particularly pleasant chap. So they're still in the booth later. That's the pub booth, not the confessional booth. When Kit comes into the pub and Beth says, "Oh, I'll make up for your idiocy, son, by buying him a pint." And he's like, "Oh, go on then." So she sidles off to Kit at the bar, all flirty, and Craig comes out the toilet and says, "Mother, get away from him. Don't embarrass me." And that's all that happened there. There wasn't really any big plot developments here, were there? Apart from Craig...
The continuing adventures of
failing
Craig
to
Tinker.
ingratiate himself to his
Today,
idol.
for a special trick, I shall put my foot in my mouth.
Basically that. But Kit is the new Tommy Orpington, isn't he? He's like the Tommy
basically.
Orpington of
Just
coppers.
a brooding, handsome, chiselled man
Yeah.
who's got no time for any of these bumbling fools.
Yeah. So, literally, there's nothing to say there. It was kind of fun. It was definitely low key stuff.
I like Kit. I like my villains. I'm disappointed this week in our dear Joel, but we'll get to that in a minute.
It's coming soon. Betsy.
Monday. Betsy apologises to Carla for being on her phone the other day, and she asks, could she work there longer than just work experience, like over the summer? And Carla won't commit because Betsy hasn't proven herself. And Betsy's getting annoyed later on that Carla won't talk to her, and she says her work's as good as anyone else's.
And that's it. What was going on when they were storylining this week? It's the
football, isn't it?
No, but I think there was only ever supposed to be 2 episodes planned for this week. It wasn't like there was a third one and they didn't show it.
I know, the thing is about it was this Betsy stuff is it feels really establishing. But because it's going to be a week later, it does feel like they're going to have to re-establish all of this again.
We'll have forgotten.
To then progress from that point.
Yeah. I'm kind of liking Betsy so far, but there was so little here to like about her. I mean, there was nothing to go on. There was no meat on the bones of this. Last week there was, I think, when she was there with Fizz.
Betsy feels very entitled. Betsy's the nepo baby of Coronation Street because she's like, excuse me, my mum is dear Swain. Why don't you like my gussets?
I think that Betsy's also been a little bit shortchanged here because I don't know how long this work experience is supposed to be, but it's usually 2 weeks, and that's already happened. And she's only had about 3 episodes, hasn't she?
Yeah, and you're not supposed to get paid for it.
No, she's doing it for free.
I know, but she's like, can I work for longer? No, you're doing it for free for 2 weeks. Sucker, get out.
You're at school.
I'll give you a reference.
So anyway, that was what Betsy had.
I still find it quite astounding that there is a teenage girl that can sew.
Yeah.
Why
is she a natural?
It's a really, really odd... It's a lost art for a start. I mean, with Nina, they really had to... They gave her loads of like plausible deniability. Why does she know about this? Because she's got to make her own clothes. She's into fashion. She's going to school for it. Betsy's just like, yeah, I know how to sew. Like, I'm not trying to do down the youth of today because I'm like 20 years older and I don't know how to sew. I've tried to learn how to sew. I know how to use a sewing machine. I couldn't work in a factory.
You know how to use a sewing machine?
Are you joking?
I don't know you know how to use a sewing machine.
I went on a sewing course. I went on a clothes making course.
Oh yeah, you did, didn't you? Okay, but Betsy hasn't. Unless she learns a bit of textiles at school.
I'm very
I just think
impressed
that
with
all the women,
anybody
all the baby girls in Weatherfield are born with a needle and thread in their hands. It's quite painful.
The mum's like, get her out!
Because it does seem to be a quite high proportion of women that can just stick her in front of a sewing machine.
Do you think that's why Lauren's like, I know it's a boy?
Yeah, he's not pricking me with a needle inside.
Okay.
Anyway, that's what's gone on with Betsy. But anyway, you're not here to hear us talk about Betsy or Kit or Toya or Rowan or Amy. Great as they all are, the main event this week was certainly what went down with old Royston and Lauren on Monday's episode. So let's get on to that.
Righto, what happened on Monday?
Plenty.
Wasn't it as exciting?
Well, Monday. I went into this week having seen a little bit of synopsis, and the synopsis that I saw was very brief, but I knew something's going down on the Tuesday episode, and I wasn't expecting Lauren's reveal to be on Monday. So although you know we were pretty 99.99% sure that Lauren was going to be coming back, at least there was a surprise what day it happened on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because we watched it separately, didn't we, Monday's episode?
Both
and I didn't tell you after I watched it that she was back. Did you go, by the time you watched it, did you know that she was going to be in it?
I really don't remember now.
Can't expect Gemma to remember things that happened 5 days ago.
No, because I look, I really suspected that she wasn't dead. Like last week, we had a good discussion, didn't we? And I said, how much would you bet? and you said £20. And I said I wouldn't bet because I didn't want to believe that she was alive still, because I wanted her to be dead. And I like the actress. I think she's bloody fantastic. Anyone who has watched Tuesday's episode and does not hail her as an incredible talent is, you know, on something. So I think she's fabulous. I think she's hugely talented. I think she's got a great future in Coronation Street, actually. But I really am, like, I wanted there to be another killer on Corrie. And I think the thing is...
Joel has now decreased his kill count from 1 to 0.
Yeah, I know. He's back to square one. What can we do? I think there was a nice bit of misdirection in the original flashback. I said to you, I think that they filmed that twice, the mirror scene, but you're not sure.
No, they didn't. I've seen some stuff saying that it was...
But, okay, in that case, isn't it really interesting how you can interpret things differently? Because the first time I saw him in the mirror, with his slicking his hair back, it looked like he was going, okay, right, it's happened again, but we know how to deal with it. The second time, I swear it was a different cut, but I believe you when you say it's not. It felt like he was going, I can't believe this has happened. I need to get control. I'm going to slick my hair back to sort of signify myself trying to regain control of the situation. What the hell do I do now? And isn't it really like what you can your own biases and stuff really can, what's the word? Affects how you interpret things. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sad, Joel. You know, you've let me down.
I don't think I am sad that he's not a killer, because
I genuinely
we've literally only just got rid of one.
But you see what I mean though. My thoughts were when he killed Lauren in inverted commas, that he had done it again. That's what I thought. That's my interpretation. Yeah. Like he's done this to girls before, and he just like, okay, right, I've killed her now. I've got to do X, Y, and Z. And that's not at all what happened. And great. Good for both of those actors.
I'm slightly disappointed. I knew this would happen. I knew we would skip ahead to talking about Tuesday's episode before we even talk about Mondays. I was kind of hoping that he would be involved in some sort of ring of sorts. But it seems like he's a lone wolf.
A lot of people have said that they're glad that's not the case.
I mean, again, if I think about it like that, maybe it would be too close to the Nathan. But it's not like Lauren is his only victim. We know for a fact that he's already got this Ellie under his spell. So what he was spouting off to Lauren on Tuesday's episode about, I've never do this, I regret it, I want to change my ways. We know that that's a lie. But whether there was anyone before Lauren, that still remains to be seen. I would be at this moment erring towards no, although his parents did say a couple of weeks ago he's been out of sorts for a year, and it's certainly not been, not quite a year since he met Lauren. I don't know.
I mean, personally, I think it's clear there's no saving Joel.
No, he's not going to stay and be redeemed as a long-term regular character, and Dee Dee use her Christian forgiveness to say, I'll give you one.
Because
he's going to be out at some point.
Gary can, beat Pat Phelan near to death and kill a man.
Drop a roof on a poor, beautiful nurse's head.
And that's all fine because he,
he's Gary Windass.
But Joel apparently can't hit a girl just a tiny little bit, just like, woof, woof, tiny little bit. Oh, she just hurt her head a bit. And apparently that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Well,
he's going to be out of it. I don't know whether it's going to be by the end of the year. I guess we can speculate that later on and in the weeks to come. But at least it does mean that maybe he's not going to get killed off. Will Corrie be able to resist the urge to kill him off and just send him down to prison, which is where he deserves to be at the moment. But I don't know who's going to represent him. Maybe he'll be like, I represent myself, Your Honour. Who knows?
Right.
Anyway, so we got to park that for a moment because none of that came on Monday. I want to talk about it. Monday was all about Roy getting accosted by youths outside the cafe, wasn't it?
No, they've got rid of Costa. It's Hayes now. Right, on Monday, Bethany is still on the case. Oh, Bethany.
Yes, because this is going on at the same time, isn't it?
Bethany,
her top
you dimwit.
sleuthing.
You're a beautiful idiot. She's trying to sort this CCTV footage out, and Roy's
trying to get it.
Roy's in the cafe. He feels very back to normal. The ruse worked, to coax him out of his seclusion. Nina wants the morning off to support a mate who's exhibiting some pictures, and Roy's like, oh, Oh, okay, that's fine then. Evelyn steps behind the counter to help out, and Roy still thinks that Shona's ill, because that's the only reason that he came down to start with. So they were so short-staffed because Shona was sick.
I can't remember. Does this get revealed? Does he work out later that she's not? I can't remember.
Didn't I have a dream during the week that Shona was dead?
Yeah,
I did,
yes,
didn't I?
you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a dream that Shona was dead. What else happened in
I
that?
can't remember.
Somebody killed Shona.
Yeah,
Somebody
that's
finished
right.
her off.
And she was dead on the floor, and she was going cold.
I've
Sorry.
also had 2 curry dreams in the past week, but I think I'll leave that to our bonus podcast because they are tram related. Anyway, yes, carry on.
Dee Dee murdered her.
Yes,
in my
that's
dream.
right. Dee Dee married Shona.
No, murdered.
Murdered.
Married is different.
That
It
is
feels like a
different.
slow death, but it's not the same thing. Right, so, yeah,
But
Roy's...
you don't remember why in your dream Dee Dee murdered Shona?
It was something to do with being confused about Joel, and it was an accident.
gosh,
so
and how did she murder her?
I just found the corpse. It's not my fault.
Well, she's pretty tough, isn't she, Shona? She's been shot through the head and she's still walking around like nothing's
Apparently in
happened.
Weatherfield, they're born with titanium skulls.
Well, we know this from Emily Bishop, don't we?
Yeah.
It's just Maxine didn't
They
get the
breed
memo
them different
about
up
it.
north, don't they? Right, so Joel and Dee Dee are in the cafe talking about him moving in with Dee Dee. So that's the big news there, isn't it, with those two? Meanwhile,
Adam's out of the picture. No idea what's happened to him.
we're sleeping on Maxine's bench, saving money. Meanwhile, Evelyn's on the phone to Dev, who wants her to get back at the shop because he's got an invite to go and play the new secretary at the golf club. And Roy's like, yeah, go ahead. His needs are greater than mine. I need to get used to being on my own anyway. So later on, Roy just closes the cafe and buggers off. He's taking soup, isn't he, to Shona, I think.
Oh, yes, he is, isn't he?
So he leaves to bumble off. I think he goes the wrong way, doesn't he? But he immediately gets accosted by a gang of anonymous youths.
Yeah, I think his aim is to go number 8 woods, but then these youths... I found that... I do find this very unbelievable.
Week was full of people being in the right place at the right time.
Really, really was.
And I don't normally... It doesn't bother me, actually. I don't think it bothered me in this week, but it does feel a bit like, we know that nobody leaves.
I enjoyed Tuesday's episode, but and definitely you, have got a lot of nits to pick about that. But having these boys just loitering outside Roy's just on the off chance that a hermit would come out of his shell.
Who would hang around somewhere just to see a celebrity come out of a door?
He's not
He is in the world of Coronation Street. He's Creepy Cropper. He's a meme. You can get yourself go viral.
I just don't believe it. See, this is why they, now they've got Victoria Street and they've got the precinct. These things tend to happen close to Coronation Street, because back in the day, maybe they'd have had him film this wandering outside of Manchester and someone happens to see it, and that would have been so much more believable that it was midway through a long walk when somebody sets upon him. But anyway...
They call him Creepy Cropper and they follow him down the road, and he heads towards Victoria Gardens, and they're filming him there saying... He's telling them, I didn't kill them, the man who did it is in custody. And then they kind of attack him a little bit.
Yeah, they're still saying he killed Lauren, didn't they? Aren't they? Why aren't they are they not interested in anything else now? Didn't they get the memo that nobody's mentioned Lauren since Britain's Got Talent Week? Are they just flying the lone Lauren flag? In the world of Coronation
Street, no one cares about Lauren since Roy got taken in and then found... Or then they got Nathan. I also can't believe that a bunch of people that are opportunistic ghouls like this wouldn't be more fascinated by a man who'd already been involved in a sex trafficking ring. Like, if I was Creepy Cropper, I'd just go, they got the sex pest who did it.
The biggest reason why I don't think that this is believable is that I know that kids have not got any attention spans anymore. You cannot interest a child in the same thing for more than literally 30 seconds, and then they're like, "What are we doing
just
next?" So they'd have dropped Roy and me onto the next big thing. If
I was Roy, I would have just said, "Well, what do you think about Dr. Luke producing Katy Perry's new female empowerment single? Isn't that a bit ridiculous?"
Yeah, Roy knows all about that.
And they go, "You're right. We're going to go and protest outside the record label."
Well, they know that they're going to get the hits on Send PX, don't they? If they upload another video to him, it's going to go viral, and indeed it does. Even reaches young Lauren's eyes somehow.
Somehow, let's not ponder. Right, so he sits down on the bench. He's frazzled. they roughed him up, but luckily Carla comes to the rescue. Because everybody knows teenage boys are scared of women in platform shoes. So she takes him back to the cafe. He's a bit worse for wear. Evelyn knocks at the door. Carla lets her in. Says, "What the hell's going on?" They explain. Roy says he's fine. He doesn't look it. There's another knock later, and it's Shona.
Oh yeah, this is when Shona comes round and comes clean about it, doesn't she?
Yeah, he's surprised. "Oh, you look so well." And Shona comes clean. Roy's annoyed about this, and he says, "Look, I was trying to take you soup or whatever. I was trying, I got assaulted."
He said, "You've been trying to get me to come out of my shell." It was just the immediacy of how Roy was proved to be correct.
I know.
As always, Roy is right.
Yeah.
And he literally only has to step out of his front door, and he's blaming them. It's not her. It's not their
It's
fault.
kind of a bit annoying to have Shona be blamed for a bunch of annoying kids.
He throws them out of the cafe, and then I don't know whether many people noticed this. I'm sure
I did.
I'm sure a bunch of people did.
I made a
but
note.
he holds his arm, doesn't he?
And he rubs his back.
Yeah. Oh, is that what you do when you're having a heart attack?
Yeah.
Because lots of
I've said this before, and people were surprised to hear this. But if you're a woman, please be aware that your symptoms for a heart attack or some kind of heart are different to men's.
See, maybe Roy couldn't trust the smelling burnt toast bit, because we know that happened last week. I was stroke. I don't know what I'm talking about. I thought that was heart attack. Anyway,
smelling toast.
Yeah, they burnt, but I was going to say they did some burning of the toast last week in Coronation Street, so it could have just been lingerings of that.
My advice to you is to look up the symptoms that correlate to your biological reality and make sure that you know whether you need to watch out for your arms or not.
Don't take any medical advice on Coronation Street
and definitely
unless it's Lyme disease.
Don't take any medical advice from podcasts.
No.
Yeah, so I did notice he did make a big deal, like rubbing his arm, and as soon as I saw him rub his arm, I was like, he's going to have a heart attack or something.
Well, the thing is, I've seen people online saying, did Lauren come to the cafe first and give him a heart attack? And it seems like Tuesday's episode
Another woman being
disproved
blamed.
that.
Another woman being blamed for a man's troubles. Oh, you got me beaten up by a bunch of men. Oh, you got me.
But no, he was having a heart attack of his own accord without the help of Lauren, which does beg the question: how on earth did he phone 999? Yes, but I think we're waiving that.
I saw theories that she came in and phoned the ambulance, and that was not supported by what she said, which I believe was that she saw the ambulance.
Did she? I thought that she just said, "Oh, I heard you were in hospital."
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Lauren knowing that Roy was in hospital and being able to get to hospital in the speed that she did, do not believe it.
She got on a coach and she went somewhere secret, but it's very accessible to the hospital. Maybe she's what was that warehouse that was it who tried to break into that halal warehouse?
That was Stu and Ken.
Yeah, she's probably dossing in there because that's very close to the front of Weatherfield General.
Yeah, I do not buy it. But no, it wasn't Lauren that gave Roy a heart attack. It was those little rascally youths.
Look, I don't know.
We'll have a nitpick corner later.
Yeah, we will have a nitpick corner.
We'll get it all out in one.
We will, because we're not the only ones, but, I think it's fair to say, but equally we don't want to dwell on it, right? So we'll get it all out of the way in a minute. Nina sees Shona in the street, updates her about what's happened, and they talk, and an ambulance comes blaring down the street.
Nina,
like,
Nina.
Oh, that's me, that's my name. They rush into the cafe, they find Roy being resuscitated, and this would have been quite dramatic.
It was.
Before the age of social media, when we wouldn't have known whether Roy was going to live or die, really.
I had seen pictures of him in a hospital bed, to be fair, before I watched this episode.
Well, I was like, well, he's not dead.
No. They went a bit arty with these shots, didn't they?
Carry on.
The resuscitation scenes and taking him into hospital, it was very much like how they did in 1962 when Ina Sharples was taken into hospital, and they showed them going down the streets of Weatherfield, and they had the roof of the hospital, but this was during the strike when there was only about 20 members on the cast. It wasn't even that, was it? And they couldn't show any doctors. At least we did have some doctors next to Roy this time, but it was weirdly done, but I guess it just tied into the general wooziness of the week, because it wasn't the last time that we saw any of that. So he's in hospital now. He's all right.
I see that they fired the extra who failed to revive Imran. They were like, this guy's been in it longer than Imran. Let's give it a good old go.
I'm surprised that we didn't have Asha hopping out the ambulance
Yeah, that's
to
right.
do it. It's like she should be the go-to for every Coronation Street based emergency.
It would
at
have
the
been
moment.
really lovely actually if she had come to the
Why?
rescue. She's got to do it at some point, hasn't she?
She's got to rescue an actual. Well, she did it for Paul, didn't she? When Paul had his fall, and Asha was there. He's all right though.
At one point, she's going to save somebody.
Yeah.
Or not, and that would be sad.
Continue.
Anyway,
What else happened?
Artie shots. Evelyn arrives at the cafe and hears from Shona and Dee Dee what's happened. Dee Dee's just like, oh, I'm his lawyer. I'm going to be in every scene about looking sad about this. I said before, didn't I? We had this kind of discussion about whether Dee Dee is his friend or not. And apparently she's decided that she is.
Yeah.
I don't think she is his friend, but she's just a much nicer person than I am. Looks like Roy's had a heart attack. So Carla's arrives at the hospital. They're doing a coronary bypass. And she's like, why was they left alone? And Nina's like, oh, I just went to an art exhibition.
Roy has got to be. He was left alone when he was in the flat.
This
What if he'd
annoyed
had
me
a heart attack up in the top room?
But
Nobody
Carla's-
would have found out.
I know, he would have just started to stink.
Yeah.
Carla is very much like this, isn't she? She's always emotional and blames somebody. She's been like this.
She's very protective, overprotective of Roy.
Of him. But I am, like I said before, I think people baby him a bit. He is a grown man, and it's okay to die alone on the floor. That's what I'm going to do. What about you?
Anyway, he phoned up the ambulance. He was fine on his own.
He was fine. He's
And
the
he would
one
have
that
still
went
had a heart attack
outside.
if somebody else had been with him.
Yeah, exactly. What would anyone would have done against a gang of youths?
Give me
Criticise their outfits, tell them their fit isn't fresh. Right. Anyway, so still no news later on. Nina and Evelyn have been crying. There was a great scene with those two. What is it? Evelyn said something like, "Oh, you'd be tickled black to be dead in a bed or something." Some kind of goth. You and your gothy friends.
Yeah, that was a really nice moment between the two of
Didn't write that
them.
down,
Nice little character moment between Maureen and Molly.
It was really nice, and it's also kind of. I like it when people that don't have very much in common with each other somehow find common ground.
Well,
and
they have
friendship.
commonality in Roy, don't they?
That's right.
Roy's
Roy's
the glue that bonds them and Carla together.
one of the linchpins of Coronation Street. There's quite a lot of characters that would have nothing to do with each other if it wasn't for Roy. I think more than anybody, Roy fosters relationships.
Yeah.
Rita does that a little bit, but not so much in recent times. Anyway, so Nina's blaming herself, and Evelyn says no. You didn't know what was going to happen, but later on they get told he's out of surgery, he's going to be in hospital for a few days, and there's only 2 episodes this week, so who knows how long he will.
Maybe he'll be into next week. in any normal week he'd be out by the weekend, but yeah, only 2 episodes this week, so you might have to pay for weekend parking at the General.
Oh god. Oh god. Dee Dee has found a video from the Naughty Teens, and they've uploaded it like hashtag killed a guy or something, I don't know, very very neighbourly of them.
How does Dee Dee find this? Is she secretly
I think
searching the
she's got
hashtag creepy cropper?
Like as a notification on her phone? She's like, no one's going. If anyone gets more hits on their video than I do on mine on my secret account, I'm gonna get annoyed.
So yeah, I don't.
Well,
know.
look, she's not just an amazing lawyer, but she's also a social media whiz kid.
She is, yeah.
End of the episode. Bethany's
She knows
happy
what's trending.
to hear that she's finally got the CCTV footage from the pizza place where her card had been used. No, not her card. No, just the numbers on her card, because apparently you can phone up a pizza place and go, hi, can I just tell you the numbers off my card and just pick it up? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. It doesn't sound dodgy at all. How does that work?
You can. What do you mean? Why can't you? You can give you.
What?
You order it online, maybe.
Wow. Anyway, there's questions. But that's still Joel. Okay, so a lot of people were saying, why was Joel at the hospital on Tuesday? And here is an answer for you. Joel takes some bits that Dee Dee has given him to take to Roy to drop them off, so that Nina can give them to him. And then he sees a familiar figure. Who is it? Who is it, you say? Is it Ruby Sunday's mum with a hood on, who's impervious to CCTV footage, who doesn't appear on any videos ever, who can walk around and no one can ever see her face? No, it's not Ruby Sunday's mum.
And she's got a very secret special baby.
And she's got a secret special baby. It is actually Lauren.
Don't give it away yet.
We just see some feet. And in the hospital, this coat then appears at Roy's hospital bed. And the person pulls their hood down and says, "Sorry, Ruby. I mean, Roy." And that's...
You missed the bit where Sarah...
It's Lauren!
I know, it's Lauren. You missed the bit, though, where Sarah and Bethany are having a look at the footage. That's what built up to it. You've ruined the tension of this now. They're watching this fuzzy footage, and they're like, oh, there's a woman with a hood up collecting a pizza, but I can't tell who it is. Then we see the same hooded woman, and it's Roy, and it's Lauren, sorry.
I just thought it was really funny that we had two British institutions kind of screening at the same time with just a kind of really rather implausible... invisible to CCTV woman who has a hood up, who's dropping off a kid or has a kid in hospital. Just a bit silly, isn't it?
Yes, and very coincidental that Joel happened to be there to spot her.
Well, listen, he was dropping off the bag, so I'll give him that.
So yeah, big reveal. So this was Monday episode's cliffhanger, and
Lauren's alive.
She's back. She survived. Who'd have thunk it?
Nobody.
No. Well,
everyone.
They as soon as that episode aired, they started releasing interviews and whatnot with Kate Fitton, and they talked about how they were able to keep it secret. It is a bit of an Andy Carver in the basement moment, but maybe just a bit less surprising, because although there were some people that were saying Andy was still alive, and maybe Pat hadn't. It didn't feel so obvious, but maybe the only reason that it did feel obvious that Lauren was still alive is because we had lived through Andy Carver being hit on the head with a laptop and then popping up 6 months later, and we'd expected it. Like, do you think it would have been more of a exciting surprise? Would we have suspected it quite so much if we hadn't seen that story?
I think that we I don't know.
Go on. What are you going to say?
I think they were really clever, but I just think discourse has moved on, like social media stuff, and they did a good job. I'm going to give them credit. They did an excellent job. They had, Kate Fitton doing her headshots and putting them on. We had her giving a goodbye tweet. We had her.
Her Instagram status was formally.
Yeah. But there was a tiny slip up when she kept appearing at events in the past month or so that all the Curry cast were going to.
Yeah.
And if you follow them on Twitter, I mean, not being in the same photo as them is not enough to throw us off the scent that you were there.
Right. Well, no, but I definitely saw a group shot of her with Emrys Cooper and a few of the others.
I didn't see that. I just noticed she's gone to this event and they all went to the same event, but she wasn't in the photo. I think I know that she's got, why would she be there? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because I know I know some of the cast will hang around if they've got a reason, but there wasn't a reason particularly.
Yeah, exactly.
For her to be there.
No. So she's one of the things that she said in the interview as well was that filming for these scenes started back in April.
Wow.
So she's been having to hide out ever since then. So which is why I don't get why she was posing in photos with other cast members. But anyway,
I think that's fine. But I mean, I don't remember if I said anything on the podcast about it.
What?
About, I think she's alive because I saw her doing this, that and the other thing.
No, because I think that was so much of a giveaway. I don't think we wanted to mention it.
Yeah, but no, it's a bit of a deep cut though, isn't it? I think you feel that invested, it's almost impossible to hide it from you.
But I do love the stories that she would go into the studios in Callum Lil's boot sometimes, or she'd get taxied in and she'd be laying down with coats over her saying, just go, go, go. So
we did wonder how he got the body out.
Yes, that's how you do it. So I really love how they committed to this, and that's the same thing that we heard that Ollie Farnworth had to do when he was pretending that he wasn't back. And
he always said that he didn't tell his friends and family.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I don't know whether Kate has said that.
I assume she didn't.
Yeah. So they had a really good attempt at it. But yeah, I don't. Among the hardcore fans, I would say that there can't have been many dropped jaws there, But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are. But I'm hoping that there was still a good chunk of the Corrie audience that did get the jaw-dropping moment that the writers were hoping for when she pulled down her hood and it was her. Because all of Corrie's everything that they put out had called Joel the killer and Lauren's murder, and obviously everybody on the show, like T.S. Swain is going to be eating Mega Crow when this comes out, and it could be, as far as we know, it could be as soon as next week. I don't know exactly what Lauren's going to be getting up to next. She was driving away from somewhere, but I don't think it's going to be months again. I really hope not, at least, until we see her again on the show, and everyone's going to be like, you little bugger, you were alive, you let everybody think you were dead.
Wow, look. Are we going to get into
the
picks and the nits?
No, well, we maybe in a little bit, but yeah. Fair play to them. She is back. She is back. She's alive. And what's she get up
Well, I
to?
just want to point out, it's a big thing to say to an actress. Just
Off
like,
the grid.
don't tell anybody what you're doing. Pretend that you're not in the show anymore. Because I don't know if this has happened or what's happening in Corrie, but I do know that there have been people who have been very, very sure they're coming back, and then suddenly out of nowhere they're not. So it's a leap of faith from her, and it's a leap of faith from them that she's not going to blow cover by accident.
Yeah.
And I think they did a great job, and I hope that she gets nicely compensated for those weeks and months where she wasn't.
I hope so.
Doing anything.
There was a few other little things as well. Apparently there was a bit of a slip up because the ITVX listing.
Oh, can I just say this?
What?
Virgin.
Yes.
They ruined the surprise. I think that's what I did. I did see this, yeah. So I wasn't surprised that when I saw it.
Okay.
That Virgin Media had a
listing for a future episode.
A future episode that hasn't even been filmed yet. Going,
No, it
Lauren
hasn't been
does,
shown yet.
Sorry, Lauren, blah blah blah, and it's like, well done, you morons. We haven't even been sent information about what's coming out.
No, we haven't had any press releases sent to us since the end of June for some reason.
So it wasn't us. If they're trying to smoke out who's the leaker, it wasn't us, because we didn't even have the information.
So that was out there,
what a bloody
unfortunately.
blithering idiot thing to do.
And of course, it was also the week where they were releasing them early on ITVX. So
everyone's gonna.
I don't think. To be
People
fair
were
to
quite
people
good,
online,
yeah.
people
People
were
were
quite
good.
good. Well, I watched the
really
episode
sweet.
bang on 7:00 on Monday morning, and I wasn't expecting to see Lauren back then. Like I said, I thought she'd be back on the Tuesday episode, but I did see some people on Mondays keeping very quiet about her, and even Tuesday a lot of people were saying, oh, brilliant episode,
Yeah,
this
you
is one
should
of the
watch
best
this.
episodes this year, make sure you watch this,
Yeah.
watch it now if you
Didn't
can,
say why.
stay out of. So I didn't see any direct spoilers. I'm sure they were out there, they must have been,
Yeah.
but it's a hugely
You'd
risky
have to
move
look for them.
because Corrie doesn't often do these surprise twists, and there were a few. I mean, yes, Lauren being back was meant to be a surprise twist, but obviously the pregnancy that we got on Tuesday,
That was
I
great.
didn't see
I
coming.
didn't see that, no.
And I definitely didn't know that was happening, but Corrie must have known they were taking a huge risk knowing that episode would be released early, because even though some of the other soaps they release early all the time, don't they? But
I think EastEnders
EastEnders does at the beginning of the week, Hollyoaks does, but even then, around Christmas time, when the whole six who's gonna kill and who's gonna get killed, they didn't release that episode early. That came out at the normal time at Christmas Day evening. Because they knew it's a revelation as big as that, they didn't want to get out there onto the Twitterverse. But Coronation Street thought, well, we kind of have to, football's on. They didn't really have to, did they? But they did. And
they made a decision.
Yeah, so lots of risks, but I really, really hope that lots of people were mega surprised for this, because I love being surprised, and I hope you do too. And I hope you were, some of you.
What? I just want to go back to that Virgin thing, because it really bugs me. Because
It's Virgin on ridiculous, I tell you.
This is like a bit of how the sausage is made, but when there's a big week, something really like surprising happens, like a twist, and I'm not going to give any examples. The press team sends out the weeks in advance, okay? And like Super Soap Week will be something like Roy is surprised in his cell. So Roy whatever, and they don't tell you what happens, and they also tell you in advance, like they give you like a couple of weeks in advance. And the future weeks are also similarly slightly censored because they don't want you to go ahead and work out from the future. Like next week it'd be like Roy's funeral. Like They wouldn't do that.
No.
They'd be like, everyone gathers to talk about Roy or some kind of...
Everyone's surprised by the turn of events at the hospital.
Yeah, that's what they'll do. So the fact that somehow these blithering idiots at Virgin Media have like uploaded, or whoever it was, uploaded the synopsis that they even had access to, I think is bizarre. Why did they have access to this?
But at the end, what's going to happen? Is Corrie going to stop sending the synopses to Virgin Media?
Maybe that's why we haven't got it.
No, it definitely
but it wasn't us.
Definitely wasn't us.
We don't work at Virgin Media.
So that was annoying. I hope lots of people... I was going to say something else then, but I forgot what it was.
Something about Lauren.
I was also going to say, but they did have a press day at Coronation Street a couple of weeks ago. It was on a Monday a few weeks ago, which we were invited to but could not go to. And they showed Tuesday's episode at that. So even though the synopses that came out were a bit vague about the details, and there were no photos of Lauren in any of the photo packs that we were sent, there was a bunch of press people who had seen that episode early, so they knew, and they just spread it around the Metro and the Mirror and whatever. So that was that really. Anyway, let's get to the main event, which was Tuesday.
Okay, so we didn't get to it then. Today is a different day.
We've moved forward in time.
Our voices might sound different because it's quite early in the morning.
This is like the only chance we could do this. It's Sunday morning. We've just been at the Radio Times Soap Awards and we didn't go to sleep until about... Well, we turned off the light until about 1 o'clock last night. But we're going to do our best because this is an important episode.
We weren't invited.
We weren't invited to the awards, but we did hang around a lot, as we are wont to do. But anyway... We'll talk about Tuesday's episode as best we can.
We invited ourselves.
We did invite, just went
right, so are you going to do this?
I'll do my best, if it feels... Yeah. Right, so Tuesday...
This is like one of the biggest episodes of the year so far. And
we've done, been doing this podcast for 12 years now. There's been lots of other big episodes that we have been able to put more vim and vigour into. And I'm very sorry for anyone we let down.
Like we're not going to do this justice because we're both absolutely knackered.
We'll do it.
But
we'll do it.
We're doing it for you guys. We're going to power through. Let's all do it together. And again, the fans are on. Sorry.
And again, just really remember, it's 8:15 on Sunday morning after an awards show. But anyway, they're just kind of trying to make up excuses. That this could be great. This could be amazing.
Well, let's make it great.
Well, Tuesday's episode started, and Lauren is still there at the bed, just like she was at the end of Monday's episode. She's like, I'm really sorry I didn't come earlier, but I was scared of what had happened to me. And she said... The reason that she came through was because she has seen the lads attacking Roy online, so that little viral of Creepy Cropper, whatever his name is, has clearly, it must be a much searched for hashtag in the world of Coronation Street, because everyone's on it. I want to, is Lauren searching for Creepy Cropper?
Yeah, who was it doing it the other day?
It was, what do you mean? No, it was them. These are the same people.
No, I know. Who was it? Oh, forget it. Dee Dee. It was Dee Dee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think everybody who knows Roy has got Creepy Cropper hashtag saved as that.
I bet you, right. Dee Dee has got, like, Creepy Cropper hashtag saved, but she's also got, like, hashtag incredible lawyer saved. And every time it comes up, she's like,
is it? Oh, it's not me.
It's not me. I can't believe it. I got an award. I got Rising Star Award and nobody appreciates me.
Well, we are going to have a nitpick corner later because we have got many nits to pick about this episode. As great an episode as it was and as enjoyable.
Unanswered, but I'm not surprised about the fact that there are unanswered questions because it was just one episode and we didn't get another episode after it.
There may well be answers to come.
Maybe the next episode. This episode was like a mixture of flashbacks and current conversation. Maybe, like, Friday's episode will be Kate Brooks making her debut as producer with a big book, and she opens it and goes, many of you might have questions about the action that you just saw, but let me tell you the answers to some of the questions I've seen online.
Which Ian McLeod left on a couple of post-it notes as he hastily exited the building earlier this year.
All over it.
No, my first... I do want to say... I had fewer nits to pick, you had more, but I did wonder, like, why has she chosen now to come back? It may well have been explained, but question. I don't know whether it was explained well enough, and I'm not knocking the writing of this. I wouldn't dare, because this is Ian Kershaw, who's a lovely, lovely man, and the writing on the whole for this episode is absolutely fantastic. I'm digging myself a grave already here, aren't I?
How nice somebody is not got anything to do with how good the episode is.
And the thing I say...
It's just a happy coincidence that Ian Kershaw not only is a really nice guy, but he's also a bloody great writer.
And the thing that I say today that you think, that doesn't sound right, that's a bit harsh or whatever, just blame it being very early on Sunday morning. Anyway, so she's like, oh, I heard you were in hospital, and then I came along.
Yeah, okay.
Hang on a minute. Why did you not turn up when he was in prison? Why did you not turn up when there was a massive manhunt going out for you? I suppose that makes sense if she was trying to keep under the radar. But the fact that Roy was literally said, no, I said this is the only nit I'm going to pick now. I was just introducing the concept of a later nitpick corner. Why turn up now? Why not when Roy literally could be sent down for life for murder? And he's like, oh, he's been bashed on the head, better go and say hello and sorry. And how did you find out? Where were you staying? How did you get into hospital so quickly? How did you get into the intensive care unit so quickly?
High dependency unit.
That did not make sense to me.
She does make a mention, I think, of I couldn't come before now.
She does, but I don't
think that was enough.
Lauren explains it well enough.
I really don't think that was enough. There's got to be they've got to address it, and if they don't...
I think they will, because although at the end of the episode it's not like she was getting a taxi back to Coronation Street and she's going to pop into the room and say, "Hi, it's me," like a big reveal. It's going to be like the Traitors. She's going to come in with her hood down, and then she's going to push it back and go, "Hello, everyone, it's me." But it turns out there's only 3 people in the Rover, so it's less of a big reveal than you would expect. Surely some people are going to have questions for her. She is going to have Carla, Nina, Shona maybe at her throat whenever she does deign to walk on the street again, wanting to know her answers. And if I was them, that would be my question number 1. So I'm going to let that lie for a minute and give her another chance to explain herself when she does turn up back on the show again. But anyway, she's there, and a nurse comes in. A nurse? Was it a nurse? I don't know. It was a guy. It was a guy with a little medical professional with a little watch dangling on his chest. So to me, nurse. And as I was watching this, I was just thinking, this is the Craig Tinker of nurses, because he's like really nice, kind of nice looking guy, maybe a little bit simple, and he's like, "Oh, are you Nina's no, are you Roy's niece?" And she's like, yes, I definitely am. "Okay then, love, off you go." And he probably went away thinking he'd done a really good job with himself.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, I thought you wanted to say something there. No? Okay. Anyway, so she kisses Roy's hand, says, "Take care," and leave. So that was worth the trip. Just come to see that you're not dead. So hood down again.
Doesn't work this time.
She goes around the corridor. This was great. I had no idea what was going to happen in this episode. Literally, my knowledge of this episode beforehand is she's there with Roy, and Joel is loitering around somewhere. So when she was clopping down the corridor, and then suddenly he comes out of that family room, grabs her from behind, drags her in, I thought, "Oh, this is brilliant. What is he going to do?" And that set the scene for this amazing two-hander-esque thing for the whole of the episode.
I want to say what great talent Corey has, and how, the casting, fantastic, the talent, amazing. What an incredible show to be able to take 2 relatively new characters and give them a two-hander. I mean, it wasn't a real two-hander.
It makes me wonder whether it's going to go down as one of Corey's two-handers, because everyone says, "Oh, there's only been 2-3 two-handers ever." You know, the Curly and Raquel one, we had the one just recently. This technically doesn't count in the slightest, but it kind of should.
But didn't the Richard Hillman episode count as a two-hander? But it wasn't either.
I don't know whether that. Well, it doesn't matter.
I know, but I really.
Whatever we like.
The thing is, Corey knows that we all know what a two-hander is, and they know that when they use this technique of making it a two-hander, it becomes a completely different class of episode. You can't compare it to anything else. Probably the live episodes are the only other ones where there's so few of one particular type of episode.
Yeah, that's true.
Except, don't count the originals, which were all live. But they didn't make it a proper two-hander because there were other characters in it. But because it's an hour long,
exactly,
I don't think there's ever going to be a true two-hander again. I mean, Carla and Peter's episode on Boxing Day, that wasn't even a two-hander either, because you had a scene at the end where everybody
they all waved him
off,
apart from Simon.
Yeah, exactly. So, are we going to count this as a two-hander? I think yes, because the majority of that episode was those two characters.
And you're right, and it being an hour long, even if it wasn't two-hander.
There must have been a good 2/3 of that, at least. That
which was just the two of them. Absolutely. So yeah.
But yeah, taking those two, I mean, how brave those 2 actors as well. Callum Neal and Kate Vitton, just taking on a really important job for Coronation Street, and absolutely living up to what was asked of them, and more, and also, in Kershaw's words there, really, really compelling and interesting, and great drama. And everyone's saying that this is the best episode. Oh yeah, of course, I can't see how you can argue against that. But one of the most standout episodes we've had for a long time.
But it hasn't been too long since that Thursday episode of Britain's Got Talent Week with Griff and Roy in the prison cell, and that was also, everyone was saying, oh, this is great. But I think the fact that one of the things that Coronation Street has been lacking, according to many fans, has been the character drama, and the fact that this was mostly a conversation. Yes, of course, there was a whole lot of plot dumping in there because it was explaining this is what's happened, but it really was a character piece between Lauren and Joel, which I think a lot of people really, really appreciated, with a little bit of action here and there.
And it was interesting too, because Two-Handers, I don't think have ever had flashbacks in them.
No, I don't think so.
So this is a totally new breed of episode, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, it was experimental, but not in a bad way. I didn't find that there wasn't a whole lot of woozy in there, was there? There was. In fact, I quite liked it because they go into this room, and Joel's saying, all I ever wanted was to look after you, and the camera kind of pans to the side, and I was like, what are they doing here then? And then it pans into the interview room back from when was it, September or so, when Lauren was hauled in and Joel was introduced to her as the duty solicitor. And I loved all the little bits in here that explained what had happened, and some of it is like, oh, we picked up on that, we had that in our Lauren episode, we did that in our short, and him being the solicitor was the starting point of all of this.
Yes, it is really interesting. And the way that this episode has been written is very clever, because all throughout, the flashback scenes will give you a clue as to when the action's taking place. So you can say, you can kind of plot this relationship and see when everything happened, which is really clever.
It seemed like it turned sour quite quickly as well, because we see he gets pretty rough with her, and angry before he even gives her the necklace, and that happens in December, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway, this first meeting in the police interview room, he's there kind of all smarming and going, hi, I'm Joel Deering, duty solicitor, I'm your knight in shining armour. And he's like, oh, she says, I don't have anyone, my mum's not interested, Dad, I don't want to know about him. And obviously that's what he locks into.
Great.
But
great news.
The question is still there for me as to whether or not she was his first victim.
Yeah, we don't
because
know.
He looked at her as in a way like, oh, this is perfect, this is just what I need. And I don't think anybody, he didn't train to be a solicitor just so that he could do this to young women.
I'm going to say
maybe
that there are certain professions that attract predators because of the access they get to vulnerable people, and you have to understand this, and that's why safeguarding exists.
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose
I think solicitor is a bit of an odd one to go into to get access to people.
He's playing the long game, isn't he? You don't just do a quick 6-month training course to become a solicitor.
Don't know, maybe in my field you do.
Yeah, probably.
But I just wanted to say one thing about this. I think, I don't know, I haven't seen anybody say, oh, it's really strange how quickly Lauren accepts him. But the thing about predators and groomers is that they select their victim based on how easy it's going to be. Then they set like a trail of like tests to see whether this person is going to reciprocate or go along with their manipulation. And thirdly, as a young girl, as I don't know how old she is. She's a teenager still. She's
17 at this
older
point.
Teenager. You're taught as a child and then teenager that there are certain sorts of adults who are their only job is to help you. Teachers, doctors, as social workers, all these people, whether or not they help you actually in reality or not is a different thing. But you're trained by society to think, oh, here's an adult that wants to help me. That's not weird at all. We're all watching this as grown-ups going, I would, this guy's really obviously dodgy. Why is he offering to help her like this? No solicitor would just go, oh yeah, I'll work for free for you. That's not how it works.
Here's my personal number if you ever want to phone me.
But that's not weird. I don't think that would be that weird to a teenager who is used to having adults around who would.
Yeah, but you could also got to think that she's not. She is pretty street smart, isn't she? She's not been, the model pupil at school. I think that she's probably by this point in her life got a
I know, but can you see what I'm saying?
She's also been through, of course,
not.
the whole. Yeah, I can. But she's also been through this whole thing with Griff and the grooming gang, hasn't she?
Yeah.
So she's had to grow up fast, and through that she probably acquired a distrust of the police because they would have been sniffing
but he's
around.
Not police though.
No, I know, but it's especially to a young person, maybe it's all kind of thrown in together. And
that as
legal
her defence lawyer, he's opposed to the police.
I suppose that makes sense. That does, yeah. But if
he comes in and goes, look, I'm not these guys. I'm actually here to help you to fight back against these guys.
Yeah. Well, in any case, she is taken in, or she seems to be taken in quite quickly because she's got this lovely smile, and we don't see a lot of smiling Lauren in today's episode, on Tuesday's episode.
No.
But the end of the scene is like she feels like this seems like a genuine guy. The only people I've known, Griff, my dad, all of his gang who had these reasons for being nice to me, and I had to go to bed with them and everything. And this,
we don't
seems
know that,
like
though, do we?
Maybe the knight in shining armor is a thing. Maybe they want to develop something with her, that she was a fan of fairy tales when she was younger or something. No, I'm not. I'm just thinking that it seems like that little keyword there, the phrase, it was what clicked for her.
To me, it was just really cheesy, but I think she found that endearing. For a pun there.
I get it. Thank you for announcing that pun.
It is early in the morning, so I just need to make my intentions clear. I think it's cheesy, and it's a sort of line that a guy would use to pick somebody up, and I think maybe she picked up on that vibe right from the start and thought, hey, I can flirt my way into something here. Maybe not like not in a I want a relationship with this guy, but I can probably flirt into getting something out of this bloke, and he won't even realise that I've taken advantage of him.
Yeah, maybe.
There's lots of different ways that you can interpret their first initial reaction, their first scene, and how they met each other, and what each person said and how they reacted. But I do think that women who hear a guy say, I'm a knight in shining armour, think, this guy. But
she's broken, Gemma.
But no, like in a cheesy kind of like, this guy's a goofy idiot. He's not like a threat to me. He's here with a line, like he's trying to charm me. I think I'll let my guard down, because what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
You get beaten to death.
Nearly to death. Well, not even nearly to death. But he did a rubbish job of that, didn't they? Okay, so then we go back to the... Well, there's a few bits in here which is very difficult to make notes for, because a lot of it was things are appearing on screen whilst the character back in the hospital is narrating it, and sometimes narrating the opposite of what was going on screen as well.
That was great too. I love an unreliable narrator. That's my favourite thing, and it's really hard to do on stage.
That's all I ever wanted, to look after you. So, that's how it started, wasn't it? They're back to the hospital at this point, and Joel says that Dee Dee was impressed with how he got Lauren off of the charge.
Yeah, just to be clear,
this was when she broke into the salon.
Yeah, that's what she was in trouble for, in case she forgot.
Smashing it up. Ago. Yeah, and he's, look, just don't mess up my wedding. He's terrified now she's back. I mean, he doesn't seem to have been trying too hard to find her. I really would love to know what he thought had happened to her.
I don't think we're going to find out, which is frustrating in one of my picks.
Yeah, but anyway, he says, look, don't mess things up for me and Dee Dee. And then we get to have another little bit of flashback to other bits where he's saying, I just wanted to be kind to you. That's how it all started. So we see her moving into the flat at the precinct, and he's bringing her a bottle of whatever, a housewarming present. And they have a little chat, and he gets a message, excuses himself, saying, look, you can phone me any time. Which, again, and like to us, alarm bells are ringing. Why is this solicitor getting so
But it's
involved
not really that weird. Like, you probably do have clients that are very high maintenance, that need help. The thing that's weird is that he has the time, most of them wouldn't have time because their workload's really high.
Yeah.
And there's only so many hours that they can donate to doing this particular job, I believe.
Next one we flash to is that things are going bad for Lauren. This might have been maybe when she was kicked off of Ovids, possibly.
That's what I think.
He's given her some money, and
she says, I had a side gig that I thought was going to get me money, and it's not going to happen now. Then he gives her money.
Yeah, and she's not wanting that. Then we go back.
No, she does want it. She just says, I'll pay you back.
Oh, okay, I can't remember. So hospital scene again. So it's more of her saying that you wormed your way into my life, and he's like, no, honestly, it was really, really innocent. Then we get a flashback to bonfire night. Thank you very much for the fireworks in the background to help us there. That I wish that there'd been a little bit more that could have given it away. One of the things that I don't know, they could have taken advantage of due to the flashbacky nature of it. You know, a lot of the scenes started with the radio that she was listening to. They could have had some like announcements about news events in the real world. Just to set the tone, to say this is when it was, and you obviously can never do that in Coronation Street normally because they film 8 weeks in advance. But Coronation Street has never been one, unlike EastEnders, to put bits of real-time news into the show. So they stuck with that. But it was bonfire night.
It was definitely bonfire night because this happened before he gave her the necklace, and you could hear fireworks in the background. So it wasn't
New Year's Eve.
Because the necklace wasn't there. It wasn't New Year's Eve because that happened at the beginning of December.
So she's there saying, look, I can't do this, I can't be an adult, bills, responsibilities, I'm absolutely stuck. He says that whenever you need money, I'll give it you. I'll pay those for you. I know you'll pay me back. I don't like thinking that you're freezing in your flat while I'm buying expensive wine. I know you'd help me if I was in this position. You'd help anyone, wouldn't you? It's like, oh yeah, I'd like to, but what if I'm not really a good person? So you can tell that the state of mind that she's in and how she feels so down about herself that she thinks she's utterly worthless at this point. And
we haven't addressed at all still Lauren's role in any of the white supremacy gang stuff and how much she believed what they were saying, and whether or not she was brainwashed in the same way that everybody, points to Max as being.
Well, I think in the same way that we're supposed to forgive Max and think that he's whiter than white now.
Maybe
that's not the bad. Early morning. We're supposed to think that about Lauren.
Yeah, of course. That's what my point is, though. But there's some kind of lingering guilt there, maybe, and that's, you can point to this. But I think Corrie's like a bit scared now to address that elephant in the room that I
don't think we will. No. I think that's over.
And you can. The thing is about it is you can argue one way or the other. Like, she was not in a position to challenge anything, was she?
No.
But she still hasn't ever addressed it, and maybe this is the last comment that we'll ever get that references it even indirectly, which is to say, what if I'm not a good person? What if bad things happen to me because I deserve it?
Well, it was this night that we end up seeing the first kiss between them, because she's there just sobbing away. I don't know what to do. How can I ever repay you? And this is when
there was something I could do to thank you.
Yeah, this is when he sidles over to her, and she doesn't. We've seen this a couple of. There's no kind of movement from her towards him.
She didn't encourage him at all.
It was very much him coming to her,
yeah.
And she goes along with it because she has had experience of this in the past. And then within 5 seconds, she's there, kind of rubbing her hands over him because she knows, well, this is what I do.
She said, "What can I can't do anything to thank you," and he's like, "Yes, you can." And she's like, "Well, I've said it now." This is a very vulnerable girl in a really awful situation with a guy who, to me, definitely feels like an experienced predator.
It felt like he's doing all the, not the right things, but the textbook things of how to get
if Lawrence's
this girl
first
where he wants
victim,
her.
I find that, it makes more sense to me that he's done this before.
Yeah, quite often in these stories in Corrie, where we've had a baddie kind of manipulate somebody or get them wrongfully imprisoned, it's solved by somebody from the past, a past victim coming and saying, "Oh, it happened to me too."
Yeah,
like that happened with John
Elaine.
Lindsay, for example, or Elaine. So and we've got Ellie in this story.
Yeah,
I'd love to know the timeline
seems
of
too
Ellie.
young to be a victim of any number of years before you start turning Joel into a completely different sort of
Well, she's
category of person.
She's still clearly under his thumb now. But when did it start? Was there an overlap between Ellie and Lauren? Was Ellie first and now he's come back to her? Or was, as soon as he got rid of Lauren, did he then move on to somebody new in Ellie? I'm not sure, unless they've said it on the show and I haven't picked it up yet. But anyway, so the kiss has happened, and then we all know what that leads to. And so next scene, doing up the shirt. He's doing up his shirt.
She's hugging her knee. She's obviously...
She feels disgusted with herself.
Well, she's obviously feeling even more vulnerable now.
Yeah.
And he's like really cold with her. He's like, right, I'm going. I'll give you some more money tomorrow. And
which sets up the relationship between, I am paying you for this.
Well, he insists at one point that he never paid her for it. But there's even a scene where he says that he gives
later
her
on
money for it.
When he gets grosser and grosser, at one point he says, this is what I pay you for.
Yeah, that's
but in
right,
the beginning he is, but he's in denial about it, and she feels like this is what's happening. Although again, she says, I would never charge for it. I think she says at one point.
Yeah, I know. Well, no, but she's like, yeah, you would pay for it, but I wouldn't charge for it. But yet here we both are.
Yeah, exactly.
Really great lines.
Back to the hospital again, and it seems. This is where she says, it might have made you feel better, but it made me feel worse. And she runs to the door, but he runs and stops her. And I think that was the end of the first act of the show, so we get to see the slamming against the door. I can't remember whether it was Nina, at this point or later, but Nina just so happens to be walking down the corridor at this point
and stares at the door.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether that was necessarily necessary, because she's probably not going to remember. Oh yeah, I heard a slam against the door. That must have been you. Sorry, Lauren.
I know. I don't know. I don't think it added anything.
No, not particularly. And this other guy who was doing the floor, shining the floor, he had headphones in or ear defenders in, didn't he? So that's how we're supposed to think that wasn't picked up.
I mean, maybe it's kind of setting up an alibi for everyone, an argument to stop people from saying, why did nobody notice them in the hospital? And then they can say, well, they did, but they didn't go in because it said engaged.
It said in use, didn't it? Family room in use.
Well, you're not going to go in a family room in a hospital that says in use, are you? Because who knows what's going on in there? Grief and terrible emotions. You're not going to open that door.
Yeah. So after the break, she says, "You're lying to yourself. I should know. I'm an expert in lying to me, to you, to myself, to everybody." So then we get more scenes where we start to see a bit of a chase around the room. He's kind of going, I'm going to chase you. I'm going to take you. Come on, you want it, which is kind of normal in lots of relationships, isn't it? Just the.
I didn't think this was a funny, jovial thing.
It started off. I think that this to me was establishing that sometimes he would chase her, but it went kind of sour quickly, doesn't it? Because it was at the end of this scene where she's like saying, no, I don't want this, and this is when he yells and slams his hand down on the back of the sofa going, stop messing me around. But that kind of then led on to what we saw similarly maybe later on when he did attack her, when he was chasing her. I don't know. I got the impression that sometimes he would chase her, and it adds to his kind of creepy...
Well, again, when there's a line where where Lauren says something like, "Joel, stop it," kind of, and it really put me in mind of how you interact with your siblings or something when you're a kid, and it just, that line and the way that Kate performed it made me, I think, I don't know whether it's I assume it was intentional, just made me realise how young she was. Like she's like a few years from literally, like, not that we ever saw her have brothers and sisters, but like, horseplay with another kid going, "Hey, stop it," now it's gone too far, like, "Oi, stop it, Joel." That's what you would say to another kid.
Yeah, you're right.
And I thought that was a really great line. And then he says, "Come on, I won't be long."
Oh, that was kind of one of the creepiest lines
like,
of the
well,
episode.
Maybe I will, he's
that
just,
was grim.
But he's so in control of her, and what choice does she really have? What particularly can she do? She's relying on him to support her, because we have seen her trying to earn money in another way, and it didn't,
Yeah. So that goes on. Then we have a quick scene where he's putting a necklace on her, whether or not this is supposed to be straight afterwards. Maybe it's like an apology for getting mad at you, I suppose.
Well, she also says, she does say, "Oh, he gave me gifts," and then we only ever see one, and then he only ever takes that out of the flat, that one thing.
Mm.
And then that becomes the clue.
I mean, there's little like the bottle of wine, I suppose, but there wasn't anything else that was
There was nothing
clothes
left
or jewellery or anything like that.
That you could
as far
tie
as
to
we
him.
knew, yeah.
And I don't know how he knew that would be the big clue.
So the next scene is when he's telling her that she loved a bit of rough, which is what made me think that this kind of like horseplay, like you said, happened a bit between them, and he was thinking that, yeah, that was his excuse.
Now,
you like it, don't you?
I'm going to say that there seems to be a bit of a epidemic of this amongst people because of online videos of people doing things
naughty
to each other.
videos,
and
they might be
there's a lot
deep fake, Gemma.
No, I'm just telling you that the rough stuff is becoming an issue with people.
Yeah, from what I heard,
people enacting stuff that they've seen on videos, thinking that this is what you're supposed to do, and people going along with it because they also think it's what you're supposed to do. And so Joel's kind of saying this.
Yeah,
feels very much like a thing that's going. I'm trying to be delicate because I don't want to say.
Was Joel? He was on Ovid's subscriber, wasn't he? So if he is, and he kind of watches, maybe he's subscribed to other accounts of girls that
I don't know whether
like that kind of stuff.
Sure. I don't know what
I have lost track of some of it, and if we were better podcasters, we'd know.
We would have time to have gone through this, but
we have had no time this week, so that's an excuse.
But I just want to say a big thumbs up to Lauren and a big thumbs down to Lauren for her bacon sandwich. Number one,
that was
bacon,
the next thing, wasn't it?
That is exactly how I like bacon in a bacon sandwich. Nice and crispy, a little bit browned, not like this flabby, flaccid rubbish, barely cooked bacon that's pink. No, I want nice crispy bacon. But what the sauce was on it. You can tell, she's getting fancy lawyer money with all that sauce she was throwing around.
There's been flagrant misuse of tomato sauce in Coronation Street recently. Do you remember when Dee Dee was pouring it all over Joel's hoops or whatever it was a couple of months ago? The curry's got something against tomato sauce.
I think Joel's got something for women who flagrantly use condiments.
Yes, maybe that's his thing. Maybe that's his fetish. Was there a name for that?
I don't want to know though. But we don't.
Oh, maybe they use it in bed.
No, why do you have to go the extra step?
Sorry.
It wasn't clear whether this was brown sauce or red sauce, though.
I thought it was red.
I know everyone. I think if you watch it back, you'll see the lighting was such that it could have been either.
Oh.
Only the actors will know.
I do like a bit of ketchup, but
not that much.
Maybe not that much, but if it's brown, then I've lost all respect for you, Lauren. Anyway, so this is the scene this is the attack scene, which we'd already seen a shorter version of as part of the Britain's Got Talent week, but this we get the full uncut edit of it. And one of the things that's been said in interviews since this episode had come out, and I don't know whether you've read this one, was this whole scene was filmed in November. Have you seen this?
Nope.
Yeah, the attack scene was filmed in November. Everything else was filmed April onwards this year, but this has been sitting there in the can ever since back then, before Kate had her little hiatus the first time. So what we saw in the Britain's Got Talent week was literally just an edited down version of this, and now we got to see the whole thing play out. So basically it's him bursting into the flat, pushing her up against the wall, saying, "I've been calling you for days," and we'd seen a lot of this in the run up to this scene, hadn't we? Her saying, "No, I'm not interested, go away, I don't want anything to do with you anymore," and he's like, "You don't tell me that you're not interested.
I'm in charge. How dare you say you don't want this?"
Yeah. She pulls free,
she tries to escape out the door.
She tries to get out the door onto the balcony, which is always the thing in that flat that I thought, why isn't that the main way in? I don't know. I suppose it's because we as viewers, when we were introduced to the precinct, we saw those doors.
Yeah, that's true.
And that in our heads, like, that's the way into the flat. But no,
surely that's
not.
how you get parcels delivered.
Yeah.
So why would you not be able to, why would that door have a chair in front of it? But that's not a nitpick. That's just...
Yeah.
There are other things.
Yeah. I mean, it feels to me like that's excellent access, but who knows? But I liked how they cut to the outside. They didn't need to do that, the little quick outside scene to showing the door shaking back and forth. So anyway, she can't get out there. And then the confrontation carries on in the room. This is where he says, "This is what we do. This is what I pay you for." And he's...
Please don't believe me.
Yeah. And
believe you, sorry.
Yeah, and then she says, "Well, Dee Dee would believe me."
What?
And that's the trigger, isn't it? And it's not obviously the trigger the first time you watch it, but later on in the episode, she says, "Well, it was her name that made you attack me," and he snarls, goes for her. Then we see the attack. Because I was watching this kind of a bit sneakily on my phone with the subtitles on the other day, I didn't get any of the sound editing, but we watched it again the other day, and the attack was all done in silence, wasn't it, in the actual thing? And I loved that. I liked how we got a different take of it than what we got a couple of months ago, or a month ago, whenever it was. And he's hitting her, and then he takes her phone.
Well, hang on. He picks up a piece of wood, and then he smacks her in the head twice really hard.
Yeah.
And then he thinks he's killed her.
As you would. Then it's longer before he stands up and does the hair slicking in the mirror. You see him kind of panicking for a little bit. He takes her phone, grabs
the necklace.
Oh yeah, and there was like snot everywhere. This is how you know you're in for a good scene.
DNA evidence left, right, and centre.
Yeah, that's very true. Actually, when they were testing for the blood, they could have found a bit of his.
They would have found an unknown male's DNA there. That wasn't Roy Cropper.
Yeah, he grabs the necklace and goes. But as the door slams, you see her fingers twitch.
He also leaves the door on the latch, so the door's now unlocked.
Yeah.
And the other thing about this is, Dee Dee would believe me. In case it wasn't clear, when Joel and Lauren first met, he wasn't dating Dee Dee. That didn't happen until a bit later on.
Yeah.
So when he started this up with Lauren, he was a single guy, but he's continued it. So, we were talking about Emily, weren't we? And we were very suspicious of Emily, who's his ex-wife.
It seems like Emily's completely
Emily's
innocent.
just a weirdo. She hasn't done anything wrong apart from being really odd. And, I'm not going to go on about it again. You guys, if you're a regular listener, will know what I've said about Emily in the past. Weird woman, but the fact that he's been married before and the fact that he did seem like he knew how to manipulate Lauren makes me think he has been doing this for a long time, and whether or not he has a girlfriend or a partner or a wife makes no difference to him. About whatever it is that he gets out of this relationship is something that he doesn't get out of relationships with other women.
So I guess his plan at this point was to go and maybe come back with something to dispose of her body in.
That's what I think.
Because this is where the unreliable narrator really kicks in, because we see him strolling casually out of the flat, but the narration is saying, "Oh, I ran as fast as I could. I tried to get help. I tried to flag down an ambulance. But it obviously didn't see me." And we're just seeing him getting into the car. What's the music that he puts on? Like Easy Lover or something. I can't remember what it was. And he's like so cool about it, but he shouldn't be, because of what he's just done. You see, when he's done it the first time, you mentioned earlier in the podcast that, was this his first attack? And the way he reacts straight away is like, I can't believe what I've done. But this is 5 minutes afterwards? And he seems like I suppose he just doesn't want to show himself up as being panicked man running through could be a busy precinct.
Callum Lill did a really good job of and I think Corey's really good at this in general, of barely contained simmering insanity of the villains. I've got to keep a lid on this because I've got something to do, and I have to try and play it cool, but I think he looked terrified. But he knew he had to act in a certain way, and he had jobs ahead of him, and he thought it through very quickly, really.
Yes, yeah.
But he didn't have a good plan, which I thought was good, because quite often these villains will
This wasn't a premeditated attack on
No, but villains in Corey are really good at just getting away with stuff, and somehow he's bumbled his way to getting away with this completely, hasn't he?
For now, yeah.
And it wasn't any planning on his part at all. It's just lucky. He was just really lucky, and that's kind of how it goes, I think.
Yeah. I've kind of skipped ahead a little bit because that bit comes later. That it's time for another break, everybody, and we need to have a big cliffhanger. And this was the one that took everybody by surprise. If people went into this episode, or Monday's episode, I suppose, knowing that Lauren would be back, what I didn't see anybody predicting is that when he's pushing her around and she she kind of backs into the corner and holds her belly.
Yeah, and she says, I'm not scared of you because I'm not alone anymore. And he thinks she's talking about a boyfriend or something, or a protector of some sort. But actually, what she's got is someone else to protect.
She's got a baby in her belly.
She's pregnant.
That was a great reveal.
And her expression as well.
Yeah.
She was kind of like a bit triumphant, like, I had a secret. Like, this is mine. You can't take this away from me. I got something now. Her acting in this was phenomenal, and so was his. Just that expression on her face, it was kind of unreadable in a way, but they were just so great. Pitch perfect.
It really does make me wonder whether this is going to be enough to change what seems to be quite a large proportion of the viewers who were saying, I don't really care for Lauren, they've not done enough for me so far to make me want to like her. I'm not rooting for her dead or alive. I don't mind, they've not built her up. She's just a scowly teenager. But everybody has been saying how wonderful Kate was in this. Just being at the Soap Awards last night, she was the one that got the most attention, wasn't she?
Yeah, she really was.
So maybe this was the plan all along. We will have to see. But yeah, he runs over to her.
It wasn't. She had a 6-month stint in the original terrorism white supremacy story.
Oh yeah, of course.
And then they called her back.
Yeah.
And Callum Neal, who plays Joel, was recruited specifically for this.
Yeah, this was all planned out. They knew
that he was going to be a villain. He was told from the beginning, this is going to be your character. You're going to do this.
You're going to come in and you're going to be really boring and nobody will notice.
Your nan's going to hate it.
Yeah. But I loved it when he rushed up to her and didn't he unzip her jacket?
Yeah, because he was like, what the hell? Like, she's there in the corner with her hand on her stomach, kind of looking shocked. And he's like, what? Right, okay, unzips. Ta-da!
That was brilliant. Like, and it's such a soapy trope to do, isn't it? Like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. But it didn't feel like, oh, here we go, another pregnancy.
I know. It just goes to show you, doesn't it? Really, this is what we've been saying. That the soapy tropes are there for a reason, and they work when they're given.
Yeah, it's how you do them.
Time to develop, and a reason to care. Because honestly, a million affairs and pregnancy babies on Coronation Street. At the end, who cares anymore? Only care when it's a serial predator and a vulnerable young girl.
Well, I think it does help as well that we've not had a pregnancy and a baby in Corrie for a long time. I know with a couple of weeks ago there was the one episode wonder whether Toya was pregnant, but no, apart from that, I think the last baby that was born was Elfie, so it almost kind of feels like we're ready for it now. And we don't, with the added bonus, we don't have to sit through the whole of the 9 months pregnancy because she's 5 months gone at this point. She's going to be popping out this sprog early autumn at this rate.
Good time to be born.
Well, exactly, oldest in the class.
Yeah, I don't think she plans it. It's an added bonus.
So he's obviously taken aback by this, to say the least, and she confirms that it's his. She hasn't told anybody. I've got nobody else to tell. Again, I'm wondering what have you been doing all this time? Have you had no support whatsoever? Nitpick corner later. She is determined that he has got nothing to do with this baby. She says it may have been to do with you at the start, but now to do with you now.
I like that line.
Yeah, so did I. I thought that was great. Yeah, she uses something similar again later on. I really enjoyed that. She's
found purpose.
Yeah, she says, I feel this baby moving around inside me and it's made me realise I've got somebody.
That was really sweet and actually really touching and incredibly tragic because unfortunately, without realising it, she's just given him 2 really great reasons to try to kill her again. I'm pregnant with your child and no one else knows but you now.
But he wouldn't. I don't think he'd want to kill her with his baby inside.
He's already got a child. Look,
I know, because he was saying he wanted to have something to do with this baby's life. He doesn't want to bonk
You
off his own
okay? You
baby.
understand that
Bonk
he's
off,
an
sorry.
unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
Yet you still believe what he tells Lauren about wanting to be a dad to this child. He's got a baby. He already had a baby, and he didn't see it until it was 2 years old. He doesn't strike me as a particularly doting father, and I'm not trying to be rude here, but there's a big disconnect between what an expectant father might feel about a child and what a mother is going to feel. And I'm not trying to be mean, but that there is a lot more room for a guy like Joel to be like, this is just an inconvenience. Why do you think
I kind of read it.
It doesn't even happen for mothers sometimes to have this connection to this unborn child.
The way I read it as I was watching that scene is, I screwed up Maeve. This is my chance to be a dad properly.
He's got you wrapped around his finger.
Clearly, Glazzy's going to be buying me a necklace.
Do you really think that if he tried to kill her because she wouldn't answer the phone, that he wouldn't try to kill her with a baby?
Yeah. But I guess we will see as time goes by, won't we?
Of course he's going to try and kill her again.
So this is when he starts to recount what happened after the murder, and he goes out there, he gets into his car, listens to the music.
Oh, hang on, yeah.
But he's telling her that I went to try and get an ambulance, but I couldn't. We see him Bobby arrive.
Look, he says, I want to be part of the baby's life, and then he explains himself as to why he didn't help her. It's not that he didn't try, it's that he couldn't get help. And he spins this story about what he was doing, but like you say, we watch him doing something completely different. Like, he's like, I was running around asking people, and I saw an ambulance and it wouldn't stop. But what we do see is him driving off and then driving back later.
Listening to his cool
music.
Cool
as a cucumber.
Yeah. Seeing Bobby, and then he can't get into the flat because Bobby's been up there and locked it when he left. So he goes up to the flat and he's there banging on the door going, oh no, there's a dead body inside, maybe.
You really would think that he would have had a key cut.
Yeah, he must. I want to know what he must have thought, because when he saw Bobby going up there, he was thinking, he's just found her dead body.
Well, then he's taken Lauren's phone.
Yes.
And he gets a text from Bobby going, where are you? So he knows that she's not in there.
Yeah, that's good. That would blow your mind, because the amount of force that he was hitting her with that chair leg, how could anybody survive that? So he must know that she's dragged herself off somewhere. So he goes back to the Victoria Street, has a little meltdown because he's lost the necklace in this time.
He has a meltdown and then he loses the necklace. He has a meltdown because he's like, what the hell is going on here?
Oh yeah, as he's having his pat feeling against the steering wheel moment.
What evidence did I leave behind in the flat that I didn't hastily grab before I went? If she is gone, is she going to die somewhere else? Or what? I mean, your mind would be blown by this, and shrieking into your car. I mean, people do that on a Monday morning, so why wouldn't you do it after you thought you'd killed somebody?
Yeah, exactly. This necklace thing, it felt like, looking back on it now, and I don't know whether there's any more to this, it feels to me a little bit like the necklace was put in there as a bit of a clue, and now they've got to try and explain it away. I don't get. It was great that there was a necklace, because that added to the, could it be Nathan? Because Nathan gives people necklaces. And, Hope's found the necklace at the end of Britain's Got Talent. Now we know it's him. But it still doesn't make sense to me as to why he took the necklace. What's the benefit for him of having this necklace with him? And also, then when he thought he'd lost it, we saw him scrabbling around for a bit. But if you thought that there was a chance that it could be there in the car, and you've just committed what you thought was maybe a murder or an attempted murder, you'd be scouring that car, because Hope was able to pick up that necklace pretty quickly. It was just under the passenger seat.
Unfortunately, the camera made it look incredibly visible.
Yeah.
Like, there it is, Joel. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess this is why he's the lawyer and not the detective or the forensic officer, eh?
The necklace was clearly a big clue to his identity, though. Although I don't know why he would have known that particularly. Yeah. But we were on the case from the beginning as viewers, and Dee Dee was investigating it when Roy drew a picture of it. So it was always going to be something that could link him back to Lauren. But the other thing is, like, this. You remember that watch that she gave Max, and we were like, why has she got this watch? So obviously it was just a watch that she bought with her own money.
Well, no, I think they could have been bought with the money that he was paying her.
Well, no, it was her own money once he gave it to her.
Once he gave it to her, yeah. Right, meanwhile, back in the hospital, he's trying to find out what's been going on with you. Has anyone seen you? I was really worried for you.
Explain where you've been.
Yeah.
And she's like, no.
Yeah.
I shan't.
But when did she do this?
What? He's saying, I've been... Has anyone seen you? I was really worried about you. I was asking people, but
that's right. He was been asking, right? He's been hunting.
Yeah, it's like I was looking for you everywhere, and then we cut. We see him in the police station going, "Oh, Everton's gonna be blah 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 blah."
Yeah,
and then he gives a side eye to the missing poster, which they're everywhere in Weatherfield, and it must have just made him sick whenever he saw them to think, "Where is she? She's not dead."
Well, she could be dead. She could be just dead somewhere else. She's not dead where I left her. Anyway, back in the hospital, and Joel's saying he hates himself. Lauren doesn't want any of his self-pity. No one deserves to be smacked over the head with a lump of wood again and again, she's saying.
Well, Joel probably does.
Yeah, and Joel, this is when he's trying to crawl back from this and saying, oh, look, I'm seeing a counsellor now who he's really helped me work through these feelings.
How is this counsellor helping you?
Well,
Hi, just before we begin... Are you one of these people that's allowed to keep a secret about a murder, or do you have to tell the police? Well, are you a mandated reporter? No, it's fine. You can tell me what you want. Okay, right, sit down. I've got a story to tell you.
Yeah, but I might not tell you in chronological order, just for dramatic effect.
Do some flashbacks. You okay with that? Have you got an hour for a two-hander? I'm really into them at the moment.
So yeah, we just see him. This is all lies, isn't it? Yeah. Clearly. And he then starts...
He spins this stupid story.
It's presumably a stupid story, and I'm wondering whether this is going to come and trip him up at some point, because she'll mention it to somebody and somebody will talk to the Deerings, because the Deerings are now in it. I don't know. Because he's...
If she needs this as a clue to find out that he is full of crap, then she's missed all the other clues that would have let, like, him smacking her on the head with a bit of wood and running off.
So this was the story he was saying about Dad found out once that Mum was having an affair, and then Dad took it out on Mum.
And then he was sad.
Yeah, then he was sad about it, and maybe that's why he's doing it himself. No, I don't know.
My dad used Mum as a punching bag.
Yeah. And
I'm sorting through it.
Back in the family room again, and Joel's telling Lauren, "Oh no, sorry,
he's saying, look, I'll never lay a finger on you again.
That's it.
Let's go. Look, you and me, we will go somewhere. We'll talk about this properly. To me, he's going, let's go to the woods. The Great Woods are really
pleasant. I've been talking to Gary Windass.
Dig a hole. I've already dug it.
Yeah.
Of course he's trying to get her to another location. But never go to a second location, because he knows that he can't just kill her in the hospital.
Massive risk though, because she could have screamed the place down.
No, because he's spun this story, and he's used to being able to manipulate her, and he's hoping now that this has worked. And also, she's still vulnerable. She's even more vulnerable than she was before, because she doesn't. We don't know where she's living. We don't know where she's getting money from, and now she's pregnant. So, going with him is a choice. It's not necessarily a great choice, but she doesn't have many other choices, does she?
No, not at the moment. And it's around about this time that we get to see what's been going on with Roy and everyone. It's quite. When I saw this scene, I was like, oh yeah, this isn't just... There's other people going on. There's what's going on with Roy and Nina. I didn't necessarily need this today, but we basically have him waking up and seeing Nina and going, oh, Lauren. She's like, no, it's not, it's me, it's Nina. And he's like, well, no, I saw Lauren just before you came. So she goes off to see a nurse who says, oh, no, there's no way that anybody who's not related to him could have gotten into him to see him. It's just only you. It's only his niece that's been here.
Yeah, but I thought this was good, though, because it definitely made sense. And this is how she would have reacted. Like, of course, nobody else has been in here. We wouldn't have let anybody in here. And it's because the other nurse thought that Lauren was Nina. Because he hadn't seen her before. Or medical practitioner. But the long game they played here with Nina's hair.
Do you think that's what it is?
Slowly grow it, changing it to blonde.
Molly, you're going to have to go blonde.
Yeah.
This is the biggest
it's
long game, as you say.
Storyline.
Yeah. She's like, she's going to be desperate to go back to black.
For this one scene. Yeah, so back in the family room, this is where Lauren's like, I don't believe you.
You want to do a bit of talk? What's going on
Do you want
in
me
there?
to?
Yeah, you do it. You do it.
So Lauren's telling Joel, I don't believe you. I need you get out of my way. You tried to kill me, and honestly, people overuse the phrase the word gaslighting, but that's what he's doing to her. He's like telling her the absolute opposite and acting like she's crazy because she's like, I was been in a manipulative relationship with you, and then you tried to kill me. And he's like, no, it wasn't like that. And she explains how she felt after he'd hit her with this wood. She's lying there, she says, she's holding her breath, hoping that he would leave. And then as soon as he went, she got up and immediately ran out. She didn't take anything with her. She's very, very firm on that. And she ran out of the flat, and she's found somewhere. She says, I found somewhere to belong. I had friends, I had a life, but because of you, I had to run away from it. I had to leave everything behind, including my little statue of an angel, which I'm still mad about. So she says, and this is...
Even a bacon sandwich. That's what she's most mad about.
I'll never get that back.
No
matter how many bacon sandwiches I eat to make up for it, I'll still never have that one.
That was the perfect one. Did you see the bacon to sauce ratio? It was spot on.
Crispy bacon, delicious. Anyway.
Can you tell that I work in the cafe?
Yeah, she's going down tonight, hasn't she? Right, so this is when it becomes slightly implausible for me. We know that she's got blood pouring from her head because he hit her with it. There's no way she doesn't have a head wound.
Well, she said that. She said, I ran away, blood pouring from my head.
But I had to keep running. I couldn't stop. I went to town, which is central Manchester, and I eventually cobbled together enough money, got on a coach, I cried all the way there. I blamed myself because I thought I had made you do this to me. But since that time, I've realised that the trigger that made you attack me was when I said Dee Dee. Your beautiful girlfriend's name coming out of the mouth of his dirty little bit on the side. Then I realised I hadn't done anything wrong to be nearly beaten to death, and it's all down to you. You're the problem, not me. She stands over him and she says, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want anything to do with you. Then they have a tussle because she's like trying to escape. She makes it out of the room. She goes down the corridor. She doesn't put her hood up, so the CCTV would have picked her up because we all know that's the magic of the hood.
Well, she goes around the corner and he spots the CCTV, doesn't he?
She's
scratched his face at this point,
and
he kind of walks down with his hand over his cheek to try and cover that.
He ducks around the corner, sees the CCTV, and turns back around and composes himself, and then follows her a bit more, composed. And she gets in.
I was going to say, by this point, I was super excited to find out what was going to happen because we'd had this really, really lengthy exposition dump over the course of the previous 45 minutes or so. Although it was great, I was like, yeah, but what now? And we got a little bit of a taste of what the what now could look like as she's running through the hospital, and my mind was racing. I was convinced, as I'm sure lots of other people were, that she'd bump into somebody because we know that Nina is around. When she was waiting for that lift, that was seriously like, Nina's going to be there, isn't she? The lift doors are going to open and Nina's going to be there, but they didn't do that. They almost had a bit of a fake out when she's in the lift and the hand comes in, but it's just someone else.
Yeah,
but we're led to believe that it's supposed to be Joel, but it wasn't. Then she's able to get outside and away.
Well, Joel's chasing her, going down the stairs, because she's got in the lift and gone. So he's like, right, I'll get the stairs. And he's running down the stairs, and Dee Dee calls him. He's like, I can't keep touching these calls. Yeah. He obviously thinks that not answering the phone is going to be some evidence against him or make him look guilty if this comes out. So he makes himself look even worse by spinning a story that couldn't be verified because it never happened, and also running down the stairs. And he's like, a client, I've met up with a client outside, ex-client, and they're very tricky, and I think he's going to use that story to explain where the scratches come from and say, yes, this client attacked me. I don't want to tell you on the phone. I don't want to upset you.
But I don't want to press any charges. I don't want to go any further with this, Dee Dee. Don't worry.
Yeah. So, he runs outside just as Lauren's jumping in this taxi, going, drive. Joel's running after, and the taxi man's like, cool, I've always wanted to do this, and just
that was a proper Terminator 2 moment, wasn't it?
And this is kind of funny because one of the stories that Kate tells about when she was hiding, when she was turning up as Lauren and she wasn't supposed to be in the programme, was that she'd jump in a taxi and shout, go, go, go.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want to be spotted.
Yeah. And that was kind of the end. She's just left having a bit of a cry, and Lauren's... and Joel's like, bloody hell, am I going to get out of this?
What the heck has happened now?
Yeah.
I got myself into.
Because I wasn't sure what was going to happen here, and that we didn't have the Nina in the lift revealed as I was expecting. I was almost... I guess we've been... we're used to thinking that when somebody runs into a road, they're going to get hit by a car. Yeah. So I was convinced at this point she was going to get hit by a car, and then she'd have to be taken back into hospital, and he'd be there with her.
That's
and then there'd be the drama of, is the baby okay? But for now...
Is he going to pinch her breathing tube?
For now, she's okay. I wanted to shout out the good use of the sets, well, not the sets, the buildings around Media City for some of these scenes, because that bit when Joel was chasing her down the stairs, that was just in the Coronation Street Experience building, wasn't it? They used the cafe a few weeks ago with Rowan and Leanne, and just above that is where this stairwell is. And if you've been up to the Coronation Street Experience, you might although no, they went up to the top floor, didn't they? And I don't think you go up there for that. We've been up there, but opposite Joel is this massive mural of Ina Sharfel. So if the camera had panned a certain way, you'd have seen Ina staring back at him.
You wouldn't have got away with this in my day, lads. We didn't have things like that in Coronation Street when I was in it.
And the corridor downstairs was the one that you run along, or that she was running along. Sorry, is what you walk down when you go into the see the movie at the Coronation Street Experience, the cinema scene, and Rory on the Facebook group confirmed.
Oh yeah, go to our Facebook group.
There's a few comparison shots for that. Yeah.
That was good work, thank you, Rory.
Yeah, so that was the end of the episode.
Oh no!
So, I finished watching that kind of sneakily on my phone on Tuesday when there was a bit of downtime. It's like, I'd need to watch that again. I haven't made any notes for a start. I was left. The online reaction to this episode has been overwhelmingly positive. Like you said earlier, lots of people saying, best episode of the year. It was incredible. I thought, I've watched something special here. I'm not going to say that I 100% loved it, 5 out of 5, 10 gold stars or anything like that, just because I had a few nitpicky things in my head, and maybe even the fact that I was expecting big drama in the last minute and it didn't completely happen the way I expected. There was a few things that didn't quite work for me, and even the fact that it was Lauren and Joel who are not main characters. You said that it was great earlier that they were able to plot this intricate two-hander around two characters. I think the fact that it was two relatively unknown characters or underdeveloped characters maybe brought it down a little bit for me. I don't know, but on the whole I thought that was a really solid episode. I was really, really happy with it, but I had some nits. What about you? I'm only saying this because I know the answer, but I think it's only fair that you say
my initial reaction was like, what? They didn't explain anything. Like, it felt like we got told stuff that we had already worked out to a certain extent, and it was just confirming what we had known. And I know that it's after the fact everyone's like, oh, I knew that was going to happen, but we kind of did know that Lauren wasn't dead. The pregnancy reveal was really great.
That was the best reveal.
The performances were fantastic. The script was fantastic. But at the end of it, the first time I watched it, I was just like, wow, answer this, answer that. And none of it was... And it's not really... I guess, upon reflection and watching it again, I thought it was a brilliant episode. I think because we do the podcast and because we've been talking about this, my reaction was probably a bit different, because I was like, well, I want all the answers now. And it's not really fair for me
We've been theorising for months.
But equally, the episode was set up to address some of these, like the mystery of what had happened and who was Joel's, how would Joel come to kill Lauren, which he didn't in the end, but how did that happen? What was the story? And so we got told the answer to that, but it unfortunately raised loads more questions that I kind of wanted to be answered in the same episode, but they just didn't.
I think when you have big reveal and this is what really happened kind of episodes like this, what you want to be going is like, oh yes, of course, oh, that makes total sense that that's happened. Why didn't we notice that? Why don't we think of that? But what I actually got in the end was like,
yeah, we know.
So
she
just got out of the flat herself, because we've been thinking all these ways that Joel could have got this body out the flat. Did he stick her in a bag? Did he wait until he couldn't wait until nightfall? But it was a complete impossibility that he could have got her out without being seen. And then for the answer to just be she just went out herself and nobody noticed, left me feeling like a bit underwhelmed.
Yeah, as a mystery, this would be Agatha Christie's worst.
Yeah.
This would be a week.
And this is more a fault of the overall plotting of it, I suppose, not this individual episode, because Ian who wrote this episode had
there's only so much you can do in one episode, even if it is an hour long. But again, like I've been saying, Coronation Street is not a murder mystery show. It's not a police procedural show. But it does keep setting itself up to be. That's what I keep coming back to, and I'm like, oh, it's not really fair to criticise it for this. But also, you're doing the story, like you decided to do the story.
I suppose what does explain and make me go, oh yeah, that makes sense, is why the blood stains were still left there, because Joel intended to come back and sort it out later, but he just couldn't.
But conveniently didn't have a key to the girlfriend who he manipulates and gives money to.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah, I did write down a list of questions to get it off my chest.
You can go through your questions if you want. I mean, some of them I think are answered.
Yeah, I know. Well,
my biggest nitpick was how on earth she was able to get out with nobody noticing. If her head was pouring with blood, why was there no blood trail?
Well,
but then my other one, which I don't think you mentioned on this, I can't remember, was about the necklace, and we've been kind of clutching onto this necklace as a big clue. I still don't really get why he took it, because there would have been other evidence that he was there, other than that, and why he didn't find the necklace in the car.
Right, so how did Lauren find out that Roy was in the hospital so fast?
Mm-hmm.
Where's she been living, and how has she managed to stay under the radar? How has she been using this...
Do you want to kind of talk about some of these as we go?
Let me just go through them. Why has she been using a stolen card, and how does she know that it would even work? Why hasn't it been stopped? Why did no one find Lauren when she was in the city centre begging? And then she went to a coach station, bought a ticket and got on a coach. There's CCTV on coaches. Swain would have been looking for all this. How did the CCTV not pick up on either Lauren or Joel leaving the flat? Why did she come back now? How has she had any care for her pregnancy? Has she had any treatment?
She didn't see any prenatal stuff.
Did she get any medical treatment for her head wound? And if not, how did she survive? And if she did, why did nobody recognise her? Why does she think she can't go to the police? Why did she make Roy go through the trial? Why didn't Joel spend more time looking for her if he knew that she wasn't dead? Is this going to end up being a he said, she said? If it does come out, if Lauren goes to the police, is Joel actually going to be able to get away with saying, no, she's lying? Because he's got a much higher status, and Lauren, it can easily be spun to this. There's no evidence that he's done anything to her. She's pregnant with a baby. Well, he's just a spurned lover then.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that her head wound, I don't know, is it going to be healed? I'm not sure. Why is every single police officer in Weatherfield rubbish? We thought Craig was the worst one, but no, Swain's also really incompetent, because she didn't check any CCTV footage anywhere in Manchester, because she would have seen a blonde girl with a bloody head getting on a coach. Up. Why didn't she put her hood back up when she was running out of the hospital? Why did Dee Dee make dinner for Joel when he wasn't coming home and plate it up and sit there eating it? That was the worst thing. Was Joel on Ovids and contacting her? Was Lauren not making money off Ovids, because she rejoined it afterwards, didn't she? Was that her way of trying to get freedom from him? Why didn't Bethany's card get cancelled when it was being used after she left the company? And why on earth did it have to be Bethany's company credit card, and not just a random card that was stolen that she didn't remember that she had.
I hope that there are going to be answers to some of those. Some of them there won't be.
These are all
the credit
nitpicks.
card things was all kind of quite contrived-y as well, wasn't it? I suppose we're just meant to believe that when she was rifling through Bethany's purse, but she was not going to remember the number, is she?
Well, she
the
apparently
card
has.
wasn't stolen. Did she take a little photo of it on her phone, maybe? I don't know.
And why did she do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Why did she do that?
I mean, she did need money at the time. She was desperate for money, but...
Right, the other thing also is there is the evidence notes from the Weatherfield Police, which unfortunately they showed on screen, which
When was this?
was a mistake. This was 15th of March.
Right. And
there's a lot of stuff on here that has now been proven wrong. So the last time she was seen, according to this evidence report, was 1:45 on Friday the 23rd of February, returning to her flat with a bag. She was... what was it? How worse does it say? No, right, okay, so they go to the residence. This is what is written down. Lauren's residence was visited for initial observations. No signs of forced entry or struggle were evident. Personal belongings, including her wallet and mobile phone, were found at the residence. That's not true because Joel took it. There were signs of struggle because there was blood everywhere. No issues or no indications of any personal issues or conflicts were reported. CCTV footage from cameras near the park were reviewed. Lauren was observed entering the park but has not been seen leaving. So, what park do they mean? I assume they mean the children's play area.
Yeah.
If there's CCTV footage there, it would have got her coming out, would have got Joel coming out and going back in.
I don't think we can go too much on what that evidence thing says, because I think they're just...
Why make it in the first place then?
They have to make these props to show on the screen, don't they?
No, they don't.
I don't think they think someone's going to screenshot it and then criticise it on the podcast.
They must... If they don't realise that that's going to happen, then... No, I'm not going to take that as a defence, because that was completely superfluous to anything and has... It obviously is just a prop made by somebody who didn't...
With the phone
what the
thing,
story was going to be.
With the phone thing, you'd think that they might remark, we've not found her phone.
Well, they said they'd found her phone.
Yeah, but I suppose so. So that is a bit of a contradiction, isn't it? And if they would have gone down the route of there's not a phone here, so did whoever who murdered her, did he take her phone? Can they not track the phone? But this says that they did find the phone.
And this is even before the whole thing about why did everyone think that Lauren was dead when there was no body, and I was perfectly happy to go along with that because it suited the plot, but that's another nitpick. But look, hopefully some of these things are going to be addressed, aren't they?
I don't think it's worth going into them too much here, because
I just wanted
far too often on the
quickly
podcast we've had a rant about things, about how ridiculous whatever is, and then the next episode they give a perfectly reasonable explanation and we get left with egg on our face.
I think the biggest thing we wanted was for her to say why she hasn't come back for Roy before now. And how did she get away? I don't believe the story of how she got away.
I don't, and living on her own. You're right. What you said earlier about not having any medical care for her baby or her head.
I know.
Head. Getting away with that bloody head is. Heads aren't. They're quite delicate. So you can't just be whacked over the head with a chair leg and survive.
I know, but
without
going
any
back
help.
to what I just said though, my biggest nitpick is how did she get away and why didn't she come back before now? And I think that the answer is going to be trauma. She was traumatized. She didn't know what to do. She was
and that's a bit of a hand wavy away.
They've spoken to the Maggie Oliver Foundation to put together this this storyline, and that is a support for survivors of trauma.
Yeah, it's a charity that works towards empowering survivors of childhood sexual abuse and exploitation, which is what this story is about. This is the issue of this story.
And the thing about victims is that they don't always react in a way that makes sense, or how could you know how somebody would react in that situation? It's a very privileged position to be like, that doesn't make sense to me. I know.
I know.
But the thing is, though, we know that is not, like, it's not a widespread understanding of victim responses to trauma. And Coronation Street hasn't addressed it yet. I do think it's going to come up, but I just kind of wanted it to be like, I don't know why. Stop asking me, like some kind of reaction that indicated, like, opened the door to this is what happened.
At any
but
point,
it's probably more realistic that she didn't.
At any point, she could have gone to the police and
but
said,
she doesn't know that.
You think I'm missing. You got Roy sent down for murdering me. I'm fine. You need to get this Joel. You need to look out. You need to protect me. Go and get the Joel. He did this to me, and a whole lot of drama and upset could have been avoided if she just turned herself in at the police station.
I know, but she doesn't know. She doesn't necessarily know that, but we don't know that that's her reason. That's my point. There are some reasons, which will be debated, I'm sure. But we didn't get really given any reason at all.
Well, there is unfinished business here, and one of the things that you pointed out as we were watching the scenes in the family room was Joel was standing in front of a bookcase with a book called Unfinished Business.
Yeah, that was really clever.
Is a very nice
touch. That was brilliant. Yeah, I mean, pick. I don't want to end this picking and nicking. And
where do you think it's going to go? Where do you think it was? It was
because
a great,
it was
great
amazing,
episode.
and I can't say enough great things about the performances of everybody in that.
And the script.
The script was fantastic.
And I thought the effects were subtle enough that it wasn't distracting.
Big risk for Coronation Street to do this. Very unique episode, which, like we said, based on a two-hander, based on a flashback episode, never been done before. And telling a very complicated story and trying to condense it into an hour and brushing on really delicate subjects and giving us that big reveal of Lauren's pregnancy, all of those things, phenomenal.
Where do you think it's going to go next? Where's she getting that taxi to? Is she away from Weatherfield? Or
she can't be that far away.
I kind of hope that it does pick up the story again pretty quickly, because even after the reveal on Britain's Got Talent week that he beat her, Lauren was just out. Nobody mentioned her. Nobody has mentioned her for about a month and a half now, and now she's back, and I don't need to go another month and a half break until we see her again. So I hope that she does turn up in Weatherfield. Like I was saying earlier, Carla and Nina and everyone are going to be pretty darn upset to hear that she's been alive and well all this time. Although I'm sure Roy will be very forgiving. Will he? I don't know because he's being a bit of a
arse.
Yeah, at the moment he maybe he won't be, but we know what happens to these types of characters on Coronation Street. She's going to be rehabilitated and accepted as part of the community within the next few months, isn't she? Especially, and I think once they find out what she's been through, they're going to be even more sympathetic towards her. The question is she going to tell everybody everything now, or is she going to, for whatever reason, try and keep it a secret? I mean, what's this going to mean for Joel and Dee Dee? The wedding, I don't think there's a date set for it yet, but I think I get the impression that he wants to marry her quite soon. So is the baby going to be born on their wedding day, or is she going to walk into their wedding ceremony with the baby?
All pregnant.
Yeah.
Very heavily pregnant. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But if she tells everybody...
Give birth at the wedding ceremony.
Yeah. It makes me think that they're probably going to want this big wedding reveal. It makes perfect sense, but for that to happen, surely she can't tell anybody about Joel, unless Dee Dee's going to say, no, I don't believe that, what a load of rubbish, you're just making that up. That doesn't feel like Dee Dee to me, so I think that she might stay quiet about it.
Yeah, I think you might be right, sad as that makes me.
But what would her motivation for staying quiet be?
No one will believe you.
Other than she's scared of Joel coming after her?
Maybe this is I can't say what's happened, because then she's about Roy, that's the sticking point. I don't know.
Look, I think...
Here's another question.
What?
Well, it's more of a criticism of Lauren. This cheeky mare, right? She's been using the stolen credit card to buy takeaways. She should be going to supermarkets and buying healthy food for her and her baby. I can definitely overlook somebody using a stolen credit card to buy bread and wholesome vegetables and nutrients. But bloody going down the pizza shop every day.
Will we be able to
Cheeky
find out, or is
madam.
this the whole thing that with Bethany looking at the list? I can't remember. Are we going to find out exactly where Lauren was? Because
I know that's what I can't remember.
Bethany,
whether they said, "Oh, it's a pizza place in."
Yeah, I can't remember. And Lauren, and who was it that was looking at the video with her?
It was her mum. It was Bethany and Sarah.
Oh yeah, sorry, Bethany and Sarah. That's right. They were looking at it. They don't know that hooded person is
Lauren
at this point, do they? That I guess that was just put in there for us because you get a little sneaky look of this exact same quite distinctive coat coming in through, and we go, that's that. So depending on what Lauren does now, Bethany and Sarah could be like, well, there's another dead end that we've hit. What can we do now? But I suppose if they see her walking around with the coat, because she's still in that coat now, isn't she? I wonder whether Bethany's going to recognise her and go, it was you had my money, and then things will start to come out there. But yeah, I think it's probably likely that I don't know, it's not going to come out until the wedding, because just for Max drama.
Max drama, not him.
Well, Max is going to be involved with this now, isn't he? And we're going to be seeing a lot more of Bobby. I wonder whether anybody is going to be on Lauren's side. Surely someone's going to have to be. Bobby's just going to be thrilled that she's alive again, so he can start to leer after her and turn the heating down on her
even
again.
He can say, why didn't you tell me?
But I think there's got to be somebody that's going to be on her side.
It's got to be, otherwise she won't have anyone to talk to.
And of course, through all of this, you got Betsy, who's currently blackmailing Joel, isn't she? I wonder whether we're going to see a lot of Lauren and Betsy together, and whether Betsy's going to be her confidant, or
they're very similar to look at, aren't they? And Joel's obviously got a type that he wants to go for.
I think we should probably, for practical purposes, really, because it is now 20 to 10, and we need to check out in an hour or so. Let's end this here. We've got the whole of next week's episodes, which will hopefully go some way to answering some of these questions, and then in a week's time we'll be able to take a thorough look back on it and say, has this been satisfactorily presented to us? Unless there's anything else you want to add in here. So, good week, very good week. Scoring for this one.
Oh God, I don't think I can score this. It's too complicated.
And it's tough because it's only been those 2 episodes, hasn't it? And you had all the stuff with Maria and Kit and Leanne, which was okay, but it really just feels like it was a bit of spinning the wheels until you get to the main event of the week, which was Tuesday. But you got to include Monday as part of the week. It wasn't a bad episode by any stretch of the imagination, but Tuesday's was so much bigger than that. It's a 4 or a 4.5 probably, isn't it? I think with all the questions that we still have and the unsatisfactoriness of it, I'd probably say 4. It's certainly not a 5 for me. I don't think I've ever given a 5 on the podcast, and it's not getting one for this week where I've got so many questions and there's only 2 episodes. But yeah,
how fair is it to expect one episode to answer all the questions? I don't know.
It doesn't answer them, it just raises some others.
Yeah, we're not the only ones that have questions, so I don't feel it's unfair.
And I have seen threads on, I think, Reddit at least, maybe in Digital Spy, saying that was rubbish, that was awful.
Well, it wasn't awful.
Which it wasn't. It wasn't. It
it was great. Yeah. Look, it was. I think everyone who was involved in that episode should be really proud of themselves. As a single episode, that was a bloody great job.
Yeah,
that was. Uncharted territory, thoughtfully done, really beautifully acted by Kate and Callum, and
it sets things going. It's given us a bit of a push for Corrie for the next. It really
has given momentum, and I've seen a lot of people going, "Oh, it's the new producer. It's not. It can't be."
No, this is still definitely Verity who's in charge at this point.
So bloody good job to Verity and everybody else.
I am going to score this week's Coronation Street 4 knickers with the required number of leg holes out of 5, which is a Betsy reference and not a Lauren one.
How much of the unanswered questions niggling you do you think would be resolved if they answer the questions next week? Would you be able to go back and give it a higher score?
No, I would never go back and
but in retrospect, you can understand. Can you not see it?
Yeah,
that's not cheating. It's just saying
next week they said that they explain everything completely clearly, then I might have said, oh, okay, 4.5. I mean, this thing, we didn't have an episode on Friday. Maybe if we had an episode on Friday which explained more of it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But then think how long we never have got the podcast done before check out if there'd been a Friday episode, would we?
No.
What are you going for?
I'm probably going to do 4 as well. 4 concealed babies, because who knows how many are in there.
Could be twins. If she's not had any medical attention, she could
Well,
have
hang on, no,
Weatherfield quints in there.
I know, but yeah, it's not because she didn't have medical attention. They don't just multiply until you go to the doctor.
No, I'm saying she
I know what you mean.
She can't have had a
she
scan
doesn't know.
yet.
Well, yeah, how you can't just
You can't just rock up and say, "Don't ask me who I am."
Yeah,
I've got an NHS number, but just
well, you
just check with the
can,
babies.
and you would get treatment, but there would be questions, and you'd have to run away again.
Yes, and
then there would be a sighting of you.
Yeah, if there's have you seen this woman, which I assume has gone national because this crazy cropper has gone so viral that everybody in the country, creepy cropper has gone viral that everybody in the country knows about it. That Lauren's face, she's going to be everywhere up and down the UK.
I could just imagine Swain being like, "Have you seen this girl?" No, don't. Hang on. Right, ready? Right,
Yeah,
you see?
just flicking it back and forth.
It's a blonde girl. Right, no more looking. You've got to you remember that face and tell me if you've seen it.
Right, character of the week, Lauren.
Yeah.
I can't gonna be Lauren. That's a bit, Joel. Nice runner up there as well. Right, everybody. Sorry we couldn't talk about this more. Hope you understand, and I hope you're really looking forward to our bonus podcast for next week. I don't know when it's going to come out because I want to do a video version of this. We've got lots of great footage from the the Radio Times Soap Awards that we want to get into a video. So we will do a bonus podcast all about everything we've been doing up here in Manchester. We've seen the Corrie Tram. We've done the awards. We've been to another filming location which we haven't actually put anything on social media about yet, and we're planning to go to another one today, so that's all to come hopefully next week. Come
on, we got to go.
We've got to go.
Thanks everybody for
Thanks
listening.
for listening.
And we'll see you when we see you.
We will, and we'll hear you.
Bye.
You'll hear us. Bye.